carrier on a public petition regarding water supply constraints caused by Kenya Power tariffs in Kilifi County, Honorable Speaker. That petition I presented myself, and the report which I hold here, Honorable Speaker, was tabled in this House and approved. And one of the key recommendations of the committee, Honorable Speaker, was that the Energy, Petroleum and Regulation Authority, if I may quote, Honorable Speaker, must undertake and engage in a consultative forum with Waterworks Development Agency, water companies and various water services boards to come up with a non-commercial tariff for water pumping, supply for public water utilities, including the Barito Water Works, which I know, Honorable Speaker, you know where Barito is. And the report of the committee was, a report from April was expected for 90 days. Honorable Speaker, that never happened. April didn't do that. Neither the Minister of Energy, neither KPLC. Today, as I speak in this chamber, Honorable Speaker, water has been disconnected for the last 1 week in Kilifi, and people are suffering. Honorable Speaker, schools are closing. Hospitals cannot operate because KPLC disconnected the water. Honorable Speaker, water is a fundamental human right under Article 43(2) of the Constitution. It is important that this House enforces the attainment of the rights by ensuring that EPRA and other state agencies act to ensure that the constitutional rights are upheld. We cannot continue, Honorable Speaker, to have the people of Kilifi suffer from water deficiency, and yet there's plenty of water because of the wrong tariffs, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, KPLC, Honorable Speaker, has been one of the thorns for our enjoyment of our rights. Even when we must pay electricity, we agree we must pay, but not at the detriment of denying people water for 2 weeks, Honorable Speaker, because of electricity bills that must be done. Honorable Speaker, I pray that you, as Mr. Speaker, directs the Committee on Implementation to call EPRA, the Minister, the CS for Energy, the PS for Energy, and everybody in this sector to answer to one fundamental question: why are they denying the people of Kilifi a right to enjoy the constitutional right of basic right like water, Honorable Speaker? And secondly, Honorable Speaker, that the Minister of Energy and KPLC and relevant players mentioned in the report forthwith implement there's a resolution to guard against curtailment of a right, and that they connect the power, Honorable Speaker, as they sort out this issue to avoid the continuance of suffering of the people of Kilifi. I beg you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Clerk. You can pass that concern to the Implementation Committee to deal with. The voice he has raised is loud enough. It doesn't need an addition. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, reduction of the publication period of specified bills.
Majority Leader. Majority Leader.
Yes, what is it?
Order number 8. Who is prosecuting that?
Honorable Speaker, give me 1 minute so I consult with the leader. He moved away with everything. We don't have anything. This is my point. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, you know, the substantive leader moved away with all documentation. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills. 1, the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2025 from 7 days to 6 days. And 2, the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly
Bill number 23 of 2025 from 7 days to 5 days. Honorable Speaker, this is a straightforward procedural motion. Honorable Speaker, as you know, we have constitutional timelines. We have constitutional timelines to meet as we move towards finalizing the issues of the budget, and therefore the appropriation of the Equalization Fund bill and the appropriations bill itself, Honorable Speaker, are important that we finalize them within this time. And therefore, we want to reduce that publication period by only 1 day so that we can catch up with constitutional timelines, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having moved the motion, Honorable Speaker, I would like to request the substantive leader of majority to second this motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. And as my very able deputy has said, reduction of these timelines on these budget-related bills is important for us to be able to conclude this business before the end of the financial year, and bearing in mind, Honorable Speaker, that we are bound to progress on recess, and therefore beg to second. And being a procedural motion, Honorable Speaker, I would request the honorable members to support and we put the question.
Order. Members on their feet, take your seats. Karole Omondi and group. Order. Take your seats. Thank you. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order number 8, which is that pursuant the provisions of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills. 1. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2025 from 7 days to 6 days. And 2. The Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2025 from 7 days to 5 days. Do we put the question? I now put the question at order number 8, which is that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills. 1. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2025 from 7 days to 6 days. And 2. The Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2025 from 7 days to 5 days. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issue of a sum of money out of the Equalization Fund and its application towards the service of the year ending 30th June 2026, to appropriate that sum for certain public basic services and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to authorize the issuance of a sum of money out of the Consolidated Fund and its application towards the service of the year ending on the 30th June 2026, and to appropriate that sum and a sum voted on account by the National Assembly for certain public services and purposes. Order number 11, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment to the National Police Service Commission.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on approval hearing of nominees for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 12th June 2025, and pursuant to the provision of Article 246(2) and 252 of the Constitution and the Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments, Appointment Parliamentary Approval, Cap 7F, approve the appointment of the following nominees as members of the National Police Service Commission. 1,
Ms. Peris Mudhoni Kimani, Mr. Benjamin Juma Ima, and Professor Coletta Suda, PhD. Honorable Speaker, the nomination of the three nominees was conveyed to the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 21st May, and the nominees' curriculum vitae, testimonial, and report of the selection panels are enclosed in the letter. And pursuant to the Standing Order number 42, on the 27th May, you yourself, Honorable Speaker, conveyed the message from His Excellency the President to the House on their nomination of the three. And Honorable Speaker, the names of the nominees were referred to the Departmental Committee on Administration for the approval hearing. And upon conclusion of the hearing, the committee was required to table its report, which we are tabling, which we did, Honorable Speaker. Consequently, in fulfillment of the provision of Article 118 of the Constitution, Section 6.4 of the Public Appointments, Cap 7.5, and the Standing Order number 45.3, the Clerk of the National Assembly on the Thursday 29th notified the public through the print media that the Departmental Committee will consider and approval hearing for the three nominees on the Monday, June. And further, in accordance with the Section 6369 of the Public Appointment Approval, Assembly placed, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed an advert in the print media on the 29th May 2025, inviting the public to submit memoranda by way of written submission on oath on the suitability or otherwise of each of the three in accordance with the public appointments. The advertisement indicated that the submission were to be received by the Thursday the 5th. And through a letter dated 28th, the Clerk of National Assembly notified the nominees of the time and place of holding the approval hearing. Notification was also done through the print media in accordance with the Section 6 of the Public Appointment. And further invitation letters for the approval hearings were written to the nominees, notifying them of the date, the venue of the approval hearing, which was on Monday the 9th. Further, on the 28th, the Clerk of National Assembly wrote letters to the ODPP, EACC, KRA, HELP, DCI, and ORPPP, seeking the reference and the background checks relating to the suitability of the nominees. Honorable Speaker, the nominee appeared, these nominees appeared before the committee on Monday the 9th, 2025 for approval hearing, and in accordance to the provision of Constitution and the National Police Service Act, Cap 85, and the Public Appointments Act 7F, and the National Assembly Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, during the approval hearing of these great Kenyans of outstanding performance in the civil service, Honorable Speaker, because all of them actually had very long work experience in the civil service. During the approval hearing, the committee went through their curriculum vitae and the training and the experience. And they were so impressed, Honorable Speaker, by the performance and the experience of all the three nominees, Honorable Speaker. And actually, Honorable Speaker, I think it's worth to mention that we didn't receive any objection or any submission against any having placed the advert and notified the public of the same, Honorable Speaker. All the nominees were nominated in accordance with the provision of the Constitution 246 of the Constitution and Section 65 of the National Police Act, Cap 85. Honorable Speaker, members started which is just a way 3 ranks below the position of the IG. And she had worked in the National Police Service for almost 40 years, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, throughout her service of the 39 years, she had worked virtually in every part of this country, to include the most hard part of this country, despite being a woman. She had really demonstrated patriotism. She had demonstrated, of course, leadership skills, and all along, Honorable Madam Speaker, she had actually even demonstrated to be a team leader. And we had considered that, Honorable Madam Speaker, she will bring much experience and commitment, patriotism to the National Police Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, on the part of the professor, on the part of the Benjamin Juma Ima, this is a distinguished Kenyan who equally rose through the ranks in the National Police Service, starting as a constable. By the time of retirement, Madam Speaker, she was also in a position of AIG.
Your point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Is the member on the floor in order to put or to give a statement regarding
the nominee Paris Mudhoni that says she has done a lot for herself and has been able to achieve a lot despite
being a woman? Is being a woman a disability, Honorable Speaker? The Honorable member should tell us if it's a disability and if it is supposed to prevent women from being the best that they can be. That is very derogatory, Honorable Speaker.
My prisoners. Speaker,
Afghanistan. Distinction. So the fact that they are a woman is not to say that they have done so well despite
by saying that she's an outstanding woman who served this country with distinction and ability.
Yes. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable member Chematia. Chematia, you have something to say?
I want to support what Honorable Cynthia is saying, Madam Speaker. It cannot be despite. What do you mean despite? In this floor, Madam Speaker, I am same-sex with Honorable Tongoyo. It doesn't mean it is because I am despite being a woman, that is why I'm here with
this. Member for Kericho.
Honorable Speaker, I respect the chairman, but he is behaving like the real Maasai man. So when he tells us, despite being a woman, is that not discriminatory, Honorable Chair? What is despite? What does that mean? He should apologize and withdraw, Honorable Speaker.
honorable members would like to finish this topic. So Honorable Tongoyo, do apologize or else I'll read for you the dictionary meaning.
Okay.
If
Madam
I read
Speaker,
for you the dictionary
Madam
meaning,
Speaker.
it's a condescending statement.
Okay.
So apologize.
Since it seems to have been misunderstood, I withdraw the statement and apologize. Right? Good. Honorable Speaker, I think I should be good to proceed. No, let me proceed.
Proceed, Honorable Tongoyo.
I said withdrawn and apologized, and I should be allowed to proceed.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was all in good faith. Honorable Speaker, members kindly, I deserve, Honorable Speaker, to be heard in silence. Honorable Speaker, on the part of the second nominee, kindly protect me from members here. Honorable Speaker, on the part of Benjamin Juma, I'd also mentioned that this is a distinguished Kenyan who served in the Police Service Commission for close to 40 years. And just like our very gracious lady, Paris, throughout his 40 years, he demonstrated patriotism and ability to serve the service with dedication and commitment. And he has actually worked virtually also in every part of this country, to include the most hard area, even part of Lamu. And the Honorable Speaker, he really convinced the committee that when this House approves, he'll be able to bring the needed expertise and commitment to the National Police Service Commission, where is needed most. More importantly, when we are even moving toward the recruitment of the police. On the part of Professor Coletta Suda, this is a great lady also who had served this country in many capacities, including serving as even actually a PS. Also, he served as a CAS, that is the abolished Chief Administrative Secretary. And of course, in high position of leadership in this country and globally. Honorable Speaker, he is a distinguished scholar and has taught in several universities nationally and internationally. Generally, the three nominees demonstrated deep understanding of the topical issues, administrative and technical issues, touching on the governance and the role of the member of the National Police Service Commission. And they possess the requisite abilities, qualification, and experience to serve in the said capacities. Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, having considered their stability, their capabilities, and qualification and integrity of their nominees during the approval hearing, the committee recommended that the House approves the nomination of all the three. And I repeat again, Ms. Paris Mudhoni Kimani, Benjamin Juma Ima, and Professor Coletta Suda for the said position as commissioners of the National Police Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I request my very able Vice Chair, Honorable Retired Colonel Dido Raso, to second this motion. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Tongoyo, I've just searched my dictionary just so that I can educate you. It says, using that phrase, despite being a woman, can indeed be considered problematic and patronizing, and in fact condescending of women. Why is it potentially derogatory? Being a woman is not an obstacle to serve in any service at all. 2, a woman's service is not unusual or surprising no matter how tough it is. 3, her gender, it implies that her gender makes her achievement exceptional, not because of the achievement itself, but because she's a woman. A better, more respectful alternative that you should have used is that you don't highlight her gender and limit it to the service to merit, but say in the context and where she has the things that she has achieved. So I'm sorry, Honorable Tongoya, as a woman, I take great exception. So let us proceed. Who's seconding? No, I will not give you a chance to clarify, Majority Leader. Let us just go straight, because you're going to say something that might also give you worse repercussions. So let us proceed. Who was seconding? Honorable Millie, you are done seconding? Who was seconding, Honorable Tongoya? Honorable Tongoya.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Tongoya, Honorable Raso, you may proceed. Proceed, Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think, Madam Speaker, the ladies in the House, they have accepted our apology.
Kindly order, honorable members. Honorable members, order. Proceed, Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise to second this motion that it is important
Honorable Raso, proceed. Because Honorable T.K. Kajwang, you are actually shouting from your seat. You are not requesting to appear. So proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion, and I wish to associate the good bits that my chairman has covered, particularly on these 3 nominees. Article 246, Sub-Article 2, Sub-Article A, Sub-Article Roman 2, clearly states that 2 retired senior police officers, this is Paris Mudhoni Kimani and Benjamin Jumaimai, representing the Kenya Police Service, and the other one representing the Administration Police Service. And for Roman 3, 3 persons of integrity who had served public with distinction, and in this, they are referring to Professor Coletta Suda. To that extent, this meets the constitutional threshold that is required in terms of appointing the members of National Police Service Commission. Honorable Speaker, the functions of the National Police Service is to recruit, to appoint persons to posts, confirm appointments, promotion, transfers, disciplinary control, and also remove persons. At this point in time, where we are facing a bit of difficulties as a country, that we should not look away. The work of the National Police Service Commission is cut out, particularly in the area of accountability and transparency, of us
first being able to address ourselves to the citizens of our country. Secondly, the issue of human rights and fundamental freedoms that our police officers must actually not only seen, but must walk the talk. The idea of politicizing everything has come out as a result of we going down professionally as a force. And something must come out that the relationship between the National Police Service and the people of Kenya must be restored. That confidence, that trust, it must be there. Madam Speaker, we have been watching the TV on what has been going on in the last 2 days, today and even yesterday. The people of Kenya must respect those who enforce the law. They put their lives on the line so that we are able to even transact in this house. So that when we are on the road, we feel safe that somebody is looking over our backs. But when we accost a young man or woman who is armed, then it means as a country we are being provocative and reckless. And this must be called by its name, that Kenyans must respect those who enforce the law, those who protect them. And on the flip side, the National Police Service Commission must take full control on discipline of their ranks and file. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable members, and Honorable TJ, in case you didn't know, that's called positive discrimination. And I will exercise it. Honorable members, I propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the approval hearing of nominees for the appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission laid on the table of this House on Thursday, 12th June 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 246(2) and 252 of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 71, approves the appointment of the following nominees as members of the National Police Service Commission. 1. Ms. Peris Mudhoni Kimani. 2. Mr. Benjamin Juma Imai. And 3. Professor Coletta A. Suda. Honorable members, and just as before I sit down, I'd like to recognize the following guests who are seated in the public gallery. Kilo Junior School from Joro constituency in Joro, Nakuru County, and Migori Bunge la Mwananchi from Suna East constituency, Migori County, and I will give the opportunity to welcome our guest, the Member of Parliament for Migori County, Honorable Fatuma Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. First, I want to thank God for letting my people reach Nairobi safely. Bunge la Wananchi is from both Suna East and Suna West, and they are very active young female and male members of their assembly. Bunge la Wananchi is not just for any other purpose other than to correct the leaders. And so in their Bunge la Wananchi, all they do is to discuss their members of parliament and even a county assembly. They discuss our conduct, they discuss the maendeleo we bring to them, and it's a very active group. And I recommend that each and every county, each and every sub-county should have a Bunge la Wananchi, because all they do is to oversight their leaders. And even the finance bill, they are aware what is in the budget, they are aware what is in the finance bill, and if you happen to go against their wish, which is the wish of the Wananchi, they do correct. So I welcome you from Migori County, and I thank you for taking your time to attend and see our assembly and see how we conduct our business here. Welcome and safe journey back home.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion for approval of Ms. Paris Mudhoni Kimani, Benjamin Juma Imai, and Professor Coletta Suda. Honorable Speaker, I am very careful not to use the word despite. Despite this list having only one man, I support that, Honorable Speaker, despite this list having 2 women and 1 man, and despite me being a father to girls, and knowing that we must accord equal opportunity to everybody, including our daughters and our sisters, I support this list. Honorable Speaker, many of these nominees, as has been said by the chair, who I know was slightly misunderstood, and I think is largely because of who have the misconception that Honorable Tongoyo is a father to a number of them and has very high respect for women. And he was saying it on a positive note that these ladies have served in very crucial dockets. Paris Mudhoni served in the police service as a senior police officer, rose through the ranks from a junior officer to the rank of, been said she has served as a CAS, I think at some point also as a P of discussing these ladies and these nominees' age. But you know the Constitution, and Honorable TJ Kajwang knows that our Constitution obligates the Honorable lady is led by the distinguished member for Nandi County, Honorable Cynthia Muge, rise in her place so that nobody should be discriminated either on the basis of her age, her gender, or even her religion, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, these ladies and these gentlemen, at whatever age, they are Kenyans who have been vetted and been ascertained by the committee which the Honorable Kaluma sits in, and he's a very serious and senior lawyer. You heard him the other day when he was discussing the law of the sea, that he can tell you even legally, he can tell you that they vetted and ascertained that these people merit to serve in these positions, Honorable Speaker, and they have very good experience. Because with age, Honorable Speaker, also comes experience. And a commission is like a board of trustees or a board of governors in a
company or in an institution, and therefore they are not. In senior positions in government and out of government, and therefore have the requisite experience and wisdom to be able to guide the commission. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in closing, and I think there's a vice chair who has alluded to it, we must call on this commission to ensure that they work towards completely professionalizing our police force. Honorable Speaker, yesterday the Minister or the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the Interior and National Security did pronounce himself on a number of reforms within the police service. And part of those reforms must and should be implemented or supervised, the implementation will be supervised by the National Police Service Commission. And I want to call on these nominees as they join the commission to ensure that these reforms are implemented fully, that they professionalize our police force, and support our police officers, because Honorable Raso has said it, and I know he came from the uniformed forces. These are men and women who give their lives to serve to the service of our nation. In other jurisdictions, Honorable Speaker, and many of you who travel outside see, that those who have served in the military, those who have served in the police forces in their jurisdictions, are accorded very high respect, but even in retirement, not just when they're in service. You see, when you go to the US, they don't even queue in banks or at airports, those who have served in the military or in the disciplined forces. Why is it, Honorable Speaker, that for us we do not treat our servicemen and women with the same honor and dignity, yet we expect the same in return, Honorable Speaker? If we expect to be treated with courtesy, with honor and with respect by our uniformed officers, let us also treat them with the respect and honor that comes with the officers that they serve in, Honorable Speaker. These are the officers who are saluted to you, Honorable Speaker, and me and everybody else as we pass them in the streets. Many of us never bother to take our time to even know how they are doing, Honorable Speaker. And they are Kenyans like every other Kenyan, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, allow me also to much as how civilized nation work. That is how. Light Honorable Speaker, even as we condemn the excesses of a number of officers, because it is not all officers, Honorable Speaker, it is a few officers. Many of us who have our own shortcomings. Therefore, in every institution, Honorable Speaker, even within the police force, their officers will have excesses, and the law must be allowed to take its course, Honorable Speaker. But that must never be a justification that if an officer or two have exceeded the expectations of the public, Honorable Speaker, for us as members of the public to take the law into our hands, because that will be causing disaster and chaos in the country. I have seen activists in the streets, Honorable Speaker, touting policemen, an armed police officer, and you are touting them. I saw somebody, Honorable Speaker, the other day in Nakuru, brandishing a machete at an armed police officer, and I must take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to commend that officer in Nakuru who was being taunted with a panga. His life would have been at risk of the lives of other Kenyans, but he maintained his cool. That is the kind of spirit we want to see, Honorable Speaker. But we must also speak to our people. We must also speak to the public that let us also treat our policemen and women with respect, with honor, and with the dignity that they deserve. Honorable Speaker, it is said, Honorable Speaker, that if you want to know the cost of education, try ignorance. If you want to know the cost of chaos, Honorable Speaker, allow, Honorable Speaker, everybody to roam the streets and do what they want and withdraw the police from those streets any day. Whether they are people picketing, whether they are demonstrators, whether they are mobilized looters, like we have seen, Honorable Speaker, in the recent past, what we are seeing being described as demonstrations are organized groups of goons, Honorable Speaker. Organized groups of goons. And you know, shamelessly, I had a leader purport that even the cars that were burnt last week were nowhere in the register of vehicles at NTSA. And I want to dare the former deputy president, it is okay to go and incite people on vernacular radio, but you must have the decency to adduce evidence of every allegation and claim that you make. Otherwise, you continue to exhibit the sort of ignorance that you served within office, even when you're out of office, Honorable Speaker. Kenyans witnessed those cars being burnt down. It only took me 5 minutes, Honorable Speaker, to be able to check. Just zoom in, look at the number plates, check for those number plates at NTSA, and you'll be able to see that these are cars, one of them belongs to a security company, Honorable Speaker. You saw the officers who are in the escort car. Those officers, mind you, Honorable Speaker, are allowed to use brutal force to protect what they are escorting. Because most of them, it's cash in transit. They do not know who are these who are stopping them in the streets when they're transiting with cash. But those officers, Honorable Speaker, if you saw the video clips, they fired in there to scare the people who are blocking the van that had the valuables that they were transporting, and they were able to sail through. Unfortunately, the one that had unarmed officers, Honorable Speaker, ended up being torched. I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, to appeal to members of the public. Let us not taunt our officers. Let us not throw our hands at them. Because I've seen people just brandishing their hands at officers, Honorable Speaker, and some restrain themselves. It's not every day you come across an officer who will be able to restrain themselves. Therefore, in a dignified way, when we want to picket, when we want to protest, we do it
especially young.
Girls come at huge cost to business people, especially those in the city who want to do last year. The idea, as I said here last week, you will find many of the chaos and mobilizing chaos, Honorable Speaker, are not in pursuit of justice. Some have not even had the decency and the courtesy to even say pole to Mzee Ojwang and his family, the family of the young man from Homa Bay who is deceased. But they will want to use his name for politics, Honorable Speaker, and mobilize all manner of things, shenanigans that they want to, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let me, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, just say I support these names. As I said, despite there being only one man, Honorable Speaker, these are very able officers who will serve this commission, Honorable Speaker. And
very important business to transact. I'd like to close this business to transact. I'd like to close this motion so that we can move to the next business. But I think it would not be right for me, especially as a woman leader, not to correct the Hansard, which was, your report. So I think I propose that you change to say that Mrs. Paris Mudhoni Kimani has served with distinction in the police forces, including in hardship areas. That's a nicer way. Or if you must mention her gender, then I prefer if you said it this way: as one of the few women in the police force at the time, Mrs. Paris Mudhoni Kimani served in the police force, including in hardship areas, demonstrating her resilience and commitment. Thank you. You want to speak? Okay. I'll give Honorable Kaluma first.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know all the nominees. I know Madam Paris Mudhoni Kimani, a lady who has risen from very humble beginnings and has served up to very high echelons of the security apparatus. I know Benjamin Emai, a person I've worked with in the security sector when I've been serving in this committee since 2013, a very capable man who would be able to serve in this important committee. Honorable Speaker, Madam Colette Suda was a sociology teacher at the University of Nairobi, a lecturer for very long, amazing lady who has served previously as a PS and a CAS, including in our education ministry. So I know the Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the emphasis I wanted to make is that we have a team of nominees here,
Honorable Speaker, who will stand for the functions and roles of the National Police Service Commission.
This commission has four main roles under the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Number one, this is the commission that deals with recruitment of police officers. This is the commission that deals with transfer
of police officers. This is the commission that deals with promotion of police officers.
People may not know, but this is the commission that deals with disciplinary control over processes of discipline of a police officer. So seeing
their orientation and where they come from. Perry is from the Kenya Police, Benjamin Imai from Administration Police, and of course Colette Suda from the public. And having been a sociology lecturer, this is a person, this is a team, Honorable Speaker, that will do this. But Honorable Speaker, allow me only to emphasize one point, which has been spoken to by the majority leader. Honorable Speaker, we have the best Bill of Rights in this country. We have the best Bill of Rights. And I think we must allow our people to enjoy those provisions in our human rights and fundamental freedoms to the full. But Honorable Speaker, we need to begin reminding all Kenyans and even foreigners in the country, Honorable Speaker, that we can only enjoy those fundamental freedoms and human rights within the confines of the law, within the confines of the Constitution, and alive to the fact that ultimately we need a stable state. Honorable Speaker, I was very sad when I saw a video of a person now confirmed to be a foreigner wielding a panga at our police officers on the main street in Nakuru. And you know, he's wielding the panga, charging at the police officers who are armed, and he's sharpening the panga on the tarmac as he goes. I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that such an individual is lucky because of the richness of our Bill of Rights. In the country he comes from, which I hear is Uganda, I don't think he would have reached with that panga even on the streets. And so we must avoid situations where we overprovoke our police officers, because these police officers, Honorable Speaker, are going to the level where they are saying we may sit back and let people do as they will. That would be the birth of chaos. That would be the birth of anarchy. Honorable Speaker, on just the other day when we were dealing with the matter of budget here, I saw a young Kenyan lady, an activist who has been doing very, very well. A lady from Western, I know. These are over 6 police officers all armed to control demonstration. And I don't know whether the House and members watched that video. The girl just charged at police officer and went pulling the neck, pulling it. You don't do that. Soon thereafter, you watched the law and order sector in the United States. And I don't know, Honorable Speaker, you watched what that law and order officer was saying. You abuse our police officers, you will go to jail, but you pass through hospital. You spit on our police officers, you will go to jail, but you will pass through hospital, because our dogs, our beautiful dogs, will bite you. You touch the body of our police officers. He said, your relatives will be called to pick the remains, your remains, wherever they are. I'm not saying we should go to that extreme, but I see a challenge where we must, Honorable Speaker, begin thinking of how we can enjoy these fundamental freedoms while aware they have limits, and while aware these police officers, if they avoided keeping law and order, there is a problem. That is not to say our police should behave. Indeed, those ones who misbehave must be held accountable in the manner we are doing this otherwise, and expeditiously. And Honorable Speaker, that will be the reason as to why we are sending this gentleman and these great ladies of Kenya to go and deal with disciplinary control. And when they go, if they will be approved, let them balance the scales to allow our police officers to act while allowing Kenyans also to enjoy human rights and fundamental freedoms without fear or favor. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support
there are people on this
their
side who have
appointment.
their hands
Thank
up.
you.
I just want to make sure if you could speak kindly for 3 minutes so that we close this matter. So, Honorable TJ, are you still interested? You look like you've zoned off. Honorable Member for Ndiwa, and then I'll come to you, Honorable Loundo, and I'll come to you.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
People who requested to actually contribute were
I rise to support these nominees. Actually, one of them is from my constituency. Colette Suda worked very well as a PS. So as much as we recommend their appointment, Madam Speaker. There is a problem in the police force that they must address. Police service, yes. I hope it will translate to that and be seen. This is one area we spend 1.3 billion every year. So these individuals have their job cut so that we can transform this into accountable, transparent, professional, and disciplined police service. Madam Speaker, today we were watching young people on the streets, the capital of Nairobi, with the rungus. This is a country that is well respected, and such scenes are not welcome. So as their job relates to recruitment, which we always have a problem with, I hope they will strengthen that. The issue of promotion. Madam Speaker, some police officers take years and years before they can be promoted. I hope they will address that squarely as well. The issue of discipline, transfers, but more so capacity building, that a police officer can know that the only document that guides them is the rule of law, not powers from above, not instructions from above. These are the capacities that we need to have our officers in. After saying that, Madam Speaker, the three individuals are up to the task, and I wish them well. I ask members also to approve them so that they can get to work. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Honorable Owunda.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me also to join in supporting the report of the committee in their proposals to appoint the three Kenyans, Peris Mudhoni Kimani, Benjamin Juma Imani, and Professor Coletta A. Suda. Regardless the fact that the gender rule has not been complied with, but since our ladies have been very passionate about it,
it's 1/3.
Yeah, we will.
So that meets it. 1 of 3 is 30%.
Okay, fine. Let us not lose focus. Honorable Speaker, when we inaugurated the new constitution, it gave us a very elaborate Bill of Rights coming out of repressive regimes over the past year since independence. And at the center of any democracy is the law enforcement agencies. Honorable Speaker, our Kenyan police and our entire security system is a respected body all over the world. And every Kenyan expects them to uphold the rule of law, integrity, accountability, and respect to human rights. Honorable Speaker, as we stand here today, truth be told without even bias, the relationship between the Kenyan police service and the general public could be considered to be at the lowest ebb ever. Why, Honorable Speaker? Two issues, Honorable Speaker, and on both sides. One, there is a general lack of motivation in the police force, a police service. Their level of empowerment, their level of welfare, their salary, their living conditions, their working conditions are deplorable and to the very best, not acceptable for a human person working. And the chair knows, many places, Honorable Speaker, at this time of age and era, there are no vehicles to transport policemen to go to work. At this particular time and era, many police stations, even those that have got police cars, do not have fuel allocation. They have to rely on members of public. You call a policeman to come and rescue you, the first question they'll ask you, nitumie pesa kununua mafuta. We diminish their morale. Then, Honorable Speaker, the issue of mental health could also be combined with the working conditions. On the other side, Honorable Speaker, the police are trained to serve the people of Kenya. It's unacceptable for a policeman to brutalize a human being. It's unacceptable, Honorable Speaker, for a policeman to shoot and kill a harmless person. I saw it with my own eyes, Honorable Speaker, during the Sufuria Maandamano. the Ugali Maandamano. Honorable Speaker, we just pray the new service. The commissioners will truly make the service a service, not a brutal force to be used to settle political scores and to settle other unknown issues.
Honorable Ngongoyo. I said Ngogoyo. Oh, they were giving you? No, Ngogoyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the three individuals that were vetted by the committee to be members of the National Police Service. And Madam Speaker, as I support this motion before the floor, I want to say that the work of the National Police Service is well cut out. Number one, they deal with recruitment and appointments to the National Police Service. We have always had problems of unfair appointments to the National Police Service. And Madam Speaker, in some regions, we have always had skewed recruitment of people to the National Police Service, and specifically the formula in which the National Police Service uses. One of the roles that this commission has is to develop fairer processes that can be used so that they can address the issue of inequality for people who want to serve in the National Police Service. They will also deal with promotions and confirmation of appointments. Madam Speaker, very importantly, they have a role for disciplinary control inside the National Police Service. We've had incidences, and like the latest of Ojwang, Madam Speaker, who has died in a police station. Disciplinary control is a role that the National Police Service has to the officers who serve and even the management of the institutions that are gazetted as police posts and police stations. Madam Speaker, will be looking forward to have new brains, to have new ideas, so that they will not serve like those who have been there before, that they can better the commission, so that the commission can serve this country. Madam Speaker, and I want to say this while I agree with the majority leader specifically on this, a country is held together by institutions such as the National Police Service. But we must agree one thing, Madam Speaker. What has happened, for instance, today? A young man selling some items in town has been shot down by a police officer. Selling face masks. Madam Speaker, the young man did not run. He was unarmed. It's just worrying. And one of the roles that the National Police Service has to do is to bring our country together. And the greatest threat now we have is when an institution or leadership loses touch with the people they lead. Where I come from, Madam Speaker, we rear cattle. The worst shepherd is the shepherd who cannot look back and see where his cattle is. Let us be careful that we do not lose touch with Kenyans. A good shepherd looks back to see whether he still has his flock. Let us not lose Kenyans in the race of leading Kenya. And specifically for us who are elected on Kenya Kwanza, we promised the police service that we will improve their conditions for working. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, that as I conclude, the Kenya Kwanza administration promised three things. One, their remunerations, their conditions for working, and their benefits, majority of which have not been met up to date. The current National Police Service, as we approve them, and I agree, they are competent individuals, they need to work so that, Madam Speaker, they are able to get benefits. Otherwise, with those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, let us approve them. Some of them are people we know, very competent, and I want to say that these are people who can serve this country and make it better even as we go forward. And I want to thank Kimani Ichung'wah for listening to the ground, because now I've seen you have changed your talking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. Let me now put the question. Honorable, oh, you reply first. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to reply, despite that no one of our great ladies in the House has supported, but I know they have already supported all of them. Madam Speaker, I want to thank all members who actually contributed to this
Honorable
debate.
Togoyo, you can donate some of your reply to Honorable Millie, because I know she was there from the beginning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I donate 2 minutes. Sorry? Okay, Irene 2 minutes, Millie 2. Then.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Millie, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You see how they trivialize women issues.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity because I am a lady. Not despite me being a lady, because I am a lady. And I want to say that, Madam Speaker, it is actually wonderful that you are sitting as a speaker. And in this commission that we are doing the appointment now, there are 2 women and 1 man. And let them feel what it is like. They are all complaining using words like despite. We can give you further English to use to complain, because as we've been complaining all our lives. But that aside, Madam Speaker, I support. Of course, it would have been, I know the one of them, Honorable, Madam Colette, and I know the issue of our age as a reason, and I wish we had brought in somebody younger, but she still has competence, because we cannot also do away with our people who are older. We will also one day be all 70, Madam Speaker. But having said that, Madam Speaker, I think members have spoken to this, but I'll also just say that yes, we need to respect our police, but our police need to restrain themselves as well. Just now, a young man has been shot dead. It is very unfortunate, because the police have a higher duty of care, just the way we as members of parliament. We are abused daily. We are even attacked physically, but we restrain ourselves. When you are given to him who much is given, much is expected. So even if the public goes against you, please restrain yourself. I support.
Honorable Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also stand to support these particular nominees. And Honorable Speaker, it is actually very refreshing that this time round we have the 2/3 gender favoring the female gender. It's a very refreshing thing, Honorable Speaker, but we believe in the competence of these 3 nominees. And Honorable Speaker, it is the role of the National Police Service Commission to ensure that our police are upholding the highest standards, especially in discipline. It is just to also join my colleagues in actually condemning the fact that we had a young man shot today because he was selling mass, he was not armed. And we'd just like to urge our police, Honorable Speaker, to exercise restraint. It is very important for them to do that, Honorable Speaker, and we are here to support and ensure that they are actually getting the best people to help them to be able to strive to the highest excellence of discipline. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I do support. I thank you.
Honorable Tangoyo, close, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Once again, I want really to appreciate all members in this House who had actually contributed to this motion and supported. Madam Speaker, as I said earlier, the 3 nominees that we are approving this evening to join the National Police Service, I've got a lot of confidence in them. There are people who have demonstrated already high level of competence. And Madam Speaker, I know their work is well cut off. The recruitment is just around the corner. And
yes, Honorable Millie, what's your point of order?
I don't know what, okay. Madam Speaker, it would be, Madam Speaker, it would be careless on my part if I don't say that I've just learned that actually the young man that I'm talking about, I'm being told, is again from Homa Bay and from Suba. Madam Speaker, that is why we must always stand on principle. Can you imagine if I was speaking here carelessly, saying how it is nice for police to kill people? But I've said the police need to restrain themselves without knowing that this is a person from Suba.
Madam Speaker, I want to repeat. It does not matter, and he was selling masks because people are demonstrating. I've actually watched that clip. It is totally reckless and irresponsible what that police officer has done, and they are doing a disservice to this government, because when you make 5 steps forward or 10 steps forward, they take you 50 back. And we need to be moving forward as a country. We can't be moving back all the time. What do I go and tell the Suba people, honestly? I don't know if it's from Suba North or Suba South, but whichever is from Suba. It is unfortunate. And from Homa Bay, we are tired of mourning. We are dying of natural causes. Even yesterday, I lost my nursery school teacher at Twitch. Today, again, we are from the police. Let us die of natural. Let us die of natural causes, not being killed. Homa Bay, please. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Ongondo Were, Ojuang. Now, surely, all of us are being killed. Who will remain in Homa Bay? Please.
Anyway, my condolences.
Okay, Honorable Tongoyo.
My condolences to the young Kenyan. Honorable Speaker, I was just saying that the 3 nominees that we are approving this evening to join the National Police Service, I've got a lot of confidence, and I want to appreciate members, and I know they will bring the most much needed reform in the police service, modernizing the police service, and of course even bring, of course, the issue of ongoing reform in the police service. Their work is cut off. The first assignment is the upcoming National Police Service recruitment, which we want to assure the country that, of course, in the support of this House, is going to be transparent. And of course, I wanted to also to just confirm to you, Madam Speaker, because it's a question that keeps coming, that the service had confirmed that the recruitment centers are going to be 4 or 5. So I think it's good to be on record. So, Honorable Speaker, with all this, I reply.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. We shall put the question at a later time. Meanwhile, we can now read the next order. Next order.
Order number 12, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 19 of 2025, second reading.
Chairperson, Finance and Planning Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move that the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 19 of 2025, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, for the last 32 days, my committee, that of the Finance and National Planning Committee, has dutifully and diligently discharged its mandate in accordance with Standing Order number 245 through a comprehensive review and a consideration of the Finance Bill of 2025. Honorable Speaker, these men and women have had to work even during weekends and holidays, usually from 9 a.m. all through midnight, every single day, traversing 20 different counties of this great republic to ensure that this House has a comprehensive report on this bill. Honorable Speaker, the task now rests with this House to dutifully deliberate on the committee's report and the proposed tax measures with a view to ensuring that this country has a prudent balance between revenue mobilization and expenditure obligations. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that the bill supports sustainable economic growth while remaining responsive to the needs of the people. Honorable Speaker, unlike previous finance bills presented to this House, the Finance Bill of 2025 is not merely a revenue-raising tool, but a vital policy-making instrument that is reforming the broader tax landscape. Its central focus is to enhance tax revenue collection through strategic administrative reforms and improve taxpayer compliance, rather than by introducing new taxes. The bill proposes the simplification of existing tax laws to make them clearer, more predictable, and accessible to all taxpayers. This simplification includes consolidating overlapping provisions and eliminating outdated or redundant clauses that continue to burden the current legal framework. Honorable Speaker, The finance bill embodies the government's commitment to modernizing tax administration and fostering a culture of trust and cooperation between the Kenya Revenue Authority and its citizens. It introduces a range of policy measures designed to strengthen the efficiency of revenue collection, including the use of technology, improved data analysis, and risk-based audits. These reforms are aimed at curbing tax evasion, expanding the tax base, and ensuring that all eligible taxpayers contribute their fair share of tax. Mr. Speaker, the decision by the Committee on the Finance Bill 2025 is anchored in a well-established framework and past legislative measures. Since the enactment of Finance Act of 2023, the committee has operated under a consistent set of guiding principles and policies that have shaped its review of various tax measures, including the Finance Bill of 2024, the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, the Business Laws Amendment Act of 2024, the Tax Procedures Amendment Act of 2024, the National Tax Policy, and as the overarching framework, together with the medium-term revenue strategy, which has been very central to these efforts. These policies, Honorable Speaker, aim to ensure predictability and sustainability within the tax system, thereby fostering a more environment for business. Mr. Speaker, since the enactment of the Finance Act of 2024, this House approved a series of tax measures aimed at achieving specific revenue targets that support fiscal sustainability. The Finance Act of 2022 had a projected revenue of 22 billion shillings. The Finance Act of 2023, 211 billion shillings. The Finance Bill of 2024 had intentions to raise 344 billion shillings. The Tax Laws Amendment Act now 2024, 49 billion shillings. But the Finance Bill of 2024, only 24 billion shillings. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, through the rationalization of tax incentives, improved compliance, and ongoing legislative reforms, the government projects to generate an additional 24 billion in revenue for the 25-26, underscoring the commitment to building a fair, transparent, and efficient tax system. Mr. Speaker, after reviewing the Finance Bill of 2025, the committee proposed a series of amendments aimed at enhancing the efficiency of a country's tax framework. In its deliberations, the committee carefully considered stakeholder submissions along with the strategic guidance provided by the medium-term revenue strategy and the national tax policy. Further, Honorable Speaker, the Pigovian taxing principle, Honorable Speaker, one of the works of the great British economics, Arthur Cecil Pig, Honorable Speaker, are also reflected in this bill. Measures such as maintaining tax exemption for renewable energy products and electric mobility companies, Honorable Speaker, correct negative externalities. By rewarding consumable practices, this aligns with Kenya's commitment to climate change under the Paris Agreement and Vision 2030. Mr. Speaker, many of the proposals draw from the Keynesian fiscal stimulus principle, which argue that for proactive government intervention to spurring aggregate demand during times of economic slack, Honorable Speaker, by incentivizing sectors such as housing, green energy, and manufacturing, this bill aims to create jobs, increase household incomes, and drive long-term economic growth while preserving fiscal discipline. As Richard Musgrave said in his book, The Theory of Public Finance in 1959, public finance is not just about raising revenue, but about shaping the economy and the society we, the just people of Kenya, want. Further, Mr. Speaker, the primary objective of the constitution of this bill is guided by stakeholder input with the views of Kenyans and established policy frameworks, which was to streamline tax expenditures, reduce revenue leakage, and promote fairness through targeted tax incentives aligned with the national development goals. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the amendments proposed by the committee aim to enhance predictability and stability within the tax regime, critical factors in fostering a conducive and competitive business environment that support long-term investment and effective economic planning. A consistent and transparent tax framework empowers investors to make informed, long-term decisions with greater confidence by reducing the uncertainty often associated with frequent and predictable legislative changes. Honorable Speaker, the committee conducted extensive public participation and based on the views received, proposed far-reaching amendments to the bill, while also expressing support for certain provisions as originally drafted. Clause 2 of the Finance Bill, Honorable Speaker, under the definition of software, includes both the software itself and its distribution within the meaning of royalty. The committee observed that the distribution of software does not, by itself, constitute a royalty-generating activity, and therefore, including it in as such could lead to unintended tax implications for distributors. In line with international best practice and OECD guidelines, and to safeguard the interests of stakeholders and Kenyans operating the sector, the committee recommended the deletion of the phrase and includes distribution of software from the definition. This amendment seeks to provide clarity amid misinterpretation and ensure a fair, accurate tax framework for software-related transactions. Clause 4 of the Finance Bill proposes a cleanup of the amendments introduced under the Tax Amendment Act of 2024, which exempted all pension payments, including lump sum withdrawals, from income tax. However, certain provisions that previously granted separate exemptions for lump sum pension payments were not repealed, resulting in a potential ambiguity. To address this bill is seeking to repeal these redundant provisions and related exemptions. The committee supported this proposal, noting that the amendment enhances clarity and affirms that all pension payments, and I mean all pension payments, whether received as a lump sum or monthly, are fully exempt from income tax as originally intended. Clause 6, which proposes to remove the Kenya shillings 5 million threshold for the significant economic presence tax, was carefully considered by the committee. The committee observed that the existence of the threshold creates loopholes for revenue leakage, particularly because non-resident entities or individuals are not required to file tax returns. This is making it difficult for the Kenyan Revenue Authority to verify compliance. As a result, KRA is unable to confirm whether the threshold has been met and therefore hindering effective enforcement. To address this challenge, the committee supported the proposal to remove the significant economic presence tax threshold altogether as a means of enhancing compliance and reducing opportunities of tax avoidance. Clause 8A, 5, and 6, which pertains to tax deductions for the construction of stadia. The committee welcomes the proposal as a progressive step that aligns the government's agenda of promoting sports infrastructure and youth development across the country. Investing in modern sports facilities not only supports talent development, but also fosters social cohesion, community engagement, and economic activity through sports tourism and related enterprises. However, the committee raised concerns over the proposal to delete the provision that allows tax deduction for sponsorship of sports activities. The committee noted that this move would likely discourage private sector involvement in sports sponsorship, which has been instrumental in nurturing athletes, supporting local teams, and elevating Kenya's profile on the global sports stage. Retaining this incentive is in line with the government's broader objective of better bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which prioritizes youth empowerment, job creation, and expanding opportunities in creative and sports industries. As such, the committee recommends that the provision of sports sponsorship be retained to ensure continued collaboration between the public and the private sector in driving growth and excellence in the sports of this country. Honorable Speaker, it has been very interesting to note the growth of our sports sector, and especially the love Kenyans are having for our local teams, Honorable Speaker. And this particular, both provisions of allowing private sector to invest inside and making it an investment deduction on their income tax and sponsoring these sporting activities is a great step to ensuring that we further enhance our local sports. And hopefully, we'll be able to fill in our stadium and watch our television sets as much as we watch small teams like Arsenal play, Honorable Speaker. Clause 8B1, which proposes to amend the Income Tax Act to allow interest deductions on mortgages taken for the construction of a residential house, was reviewed by the committee. The committee noted that under the current legal framework, such deductions are typically limited to mortgages used for the purpose of purchasing of a primary residence, with no express provision permitting deductions for home construction. This gap in law has excluded individuals who opt to construct their own homes from benefiting from mortgage interest relief. To address this bill seeks to explicitly include mortgage interest deductions for residential construction, thereby reducing the tax burden for individuals financing home construction. The committee supported this proposal, noting that it promotes fairness and encourages investment in home ownership. Honorable Speaker, the role of taxation should not just be, is not to punish wealth, but to fund the common good and correct the market blind spots. Clause 8C and D, which proposes to introduce a time limit on the carry forward of business losses, was carefully considered by the committee. Currently, businesses may carry forward losses indefinitely, yet they are only required to retain records for 5 years. This creates verification challenges. To address this, the bill is proposing a 5-year cap. However, after listening to stakeholders, the committee amended the proposal to allow for an additional 5 years extension upon application and approval. This approach balances administrative efficiency with business flexibility. It aligns with public finance principle of time consistency and fair tax policy as outlined by Richard Musgrave, and by reducing abuse of indefinite carry forwards and promoting simplicity, predictability, and equity in tax systems. Clause 16 introduces a withholding tax on payments to non-resident ship owners. This proposal was supported by the committee as a strategic move to enhance tax compliance and revenue collection from foreign entities that operate in Kenya without a physical presence in Kenya. This measure reduces dependency on self-reporting and ensures earlier and more reliable tax remittances through withholding at source. The committee noted that with proper implementation of guidelines and digital systems, the measure can be administered effectively and fairly. It aligns with the benefit principle of taxation, which holds that those who benefit from operating in a particular market should contribute to its tax base. Moreover, this is consistent with the UN Model Tax Convention, which permits source-based taxation of international transport services. This reinforces Kenya's commitment to a fair, modern, and globally aligned tax system. Clause 26E, which addresses the taxation framework for special economic zones, proposes to limit tax incentives strictly to licensed SEZ developers, operators, and enterprises, rather than extending these benefits broadly across all entities within the zone. The committee observed that the current approach has enabled excessive access to incentives, which in some instances has been abused, resulting in high fiscal costs without commensurate economic activity. The proposed adjustment seeks to align with broader policy objectives of reducing tax-based erosion and profit shifting, while promoting fairness, neutrality, and targeted support within the tax system. The committee supported this proposal, noting that a more focused incentive structure will enhance accountability and ensure that the intended beneficiaries are those generally contributing to the economic objectives of the SEZ framework. Honorable Speaker, Clause 27, which proposes to remove the provision of the Income Tax Act that grants a special accelerated investment deduction of up to 100% for capital investments located outside Nairobi and Mombasa. This deduction currently allows businesses to claim substantial tax relief on qualifying capital expenditures, such as building machinery and industry equipment. However, Mr. Speaker, the committee expressed concern that removing this incentive could discourage investment in regions outside the two major urban centers. The accelerated deduction has been a deliberate policy tool to promote equitable regional development, industrial decentralization, and job creation in undeserved areas. Eliminating it may inadvertently widen regional disparities, slow down infrastructure expansion, and hinder government's efforts under a better agenda, which prioritizes inclusion in economic growth across all counties. Clause 28, Honorable Speaker, is providing for incentives for companies that are going to be certified by Nairobi International Financial Center Authority, where an investor who invests 3 billion shillings will get 15% preferential income tax rate for the first 10 years and 20% for the subsequent 10 years. But however, there is a provision, Honorable Speaker, that they must have a particular percentage of their senior management being Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. For startup, they're going to get a preferential income tax rate of 15% for the first 3 years and a 20% preferential tax rate for the subsequent 5 years. Honorable Speaker, this particular provision will lead to increased foreign attraction of foreign direct investments, grow our manufacturing as a percentage of GDP, Honorable Speaker, and most importantly, attract fintech companies into this country, Honorable Speaker. We have seen Kenya taking a lead in fintech business, Honorable Speaker. Even during COVID and post-COVID, when all the other sectors of the economy were contracting, we have seen financial services sector continue to grow. We must make Kenya the hub of financial services growth across the globe, Honorable Speaker, and especially across Africa. As you notice, Honorable Speaker, next week I will be tabling a report on virtual assets providers bill that will make Kenya the 4th country in Africa to provide a legal framework for trading in virtual assets. And these are cryptos, bitcoins, and virtual assets, and blockchain technology, Honorable Speaker. And if the Honorable House passes this particular law, Honorable Speaker, we are going to see a lot of these institutions set up based in Kenya and operate in the rest of Africa, Honorable Speaker. However, Honorable Speaker, Clause 28B2 and 3, which proposes to eliminate the preferential 15% corporate tax rate extended to companies involved in local assembly of motor vehicles and those undertaking the construction of at least 100 residential housing units, was carefully reviewed by the committee. After comprehensive consultations with stakeholders and members of the public, the committee resolved to reject the proposal. The committee recognized that this lower tax rate is a crucial policy tool in supporting strategic sectors that play a significant role in job creation, industrial growth, and addressing the national housing deficit. The committee further noted that retaining the 15% corporate tax rate is grounded on the principle of strategic economic support, which emphasizes targeted incentives to sectors with high multiplier effects. These incentives, Honorable Speaker, are well aligned with modern industry policy thinking, such as Jun Chang's theory of the development state, which advocates for state-led support to build competitive industries, and Michael Porter's cluster-based approach, which promotes the growth of sectoral ecosystems through focused policy and fiscal incentives. Supporting local vehicle assembly, Honorable Speaker, and affordable housing not only inspires direct employment, but also stimulates auxiliary industries, supports chains and service providers, and creates a broader impact, economic impact. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, maintaining this incentive ensures that there is policy certainty. It strengthens investor confidence and sustains momentum in key sectors that are central to Kenya's industrialization and inclusive economic development agenda. Clause 34, Honorable Speaker, is proposing to remove the word taxable from the relevant provisions, which was considered by the committee in the context of strengthening the tax administration. The committee observed that this amendment is intended to mandate the issuance of tax invoices for both taxable and exempt supplies, thereby addressing existing challenges in the accurate determination of total turnover. It also aligns with the current requirement under ITIMS, which mandates invoicing for all transactions, except where specifically exempted under the Tax Procedures Act, Cap 469B. The committee supported the proposal, noting that it will enhance transparency, it will improve record keeping, and contribute to more effective and consistent tax enforcement across all sectors of the economy. Clause 36 and 37, which sought to reclassify certain suppliers from zero-rated to exempt status, were thoroughly scrutinized by the committee. The affected items included local assembly and manufactured mobile phones, electric buses, motorcycles and electric bicycles, lithium-ion and solar batteries, raw materials for production of fertilizer and animal feeds, and bioethanol vapor stoves classified under HS code 1200. These are all critical areas in this country's industrialization, food security, and green energy transition. The committee observed that these items had only been recently granted zero rating status in the Finance Act of 2023 in a deliberate policy aimed at incentivizing local manufacturing, promoting the adoption of sustainable technologies, and lowering the cost of essential goods and services. Reverting them to exempt status will not only reverse these gains, but also disrupt market confidence, increase input costs, and undermine private sector growth, particularly in emerging the job-rich sectors, such as mobile device assembly and electric mobility, Honorable Speaker. The committee recommends to retain zero-rated status for these key inputs, as well aligned with the government's broader policy objective under bottom-up transformation agenda and Vision 2030. These policy frameworks prioritize industrial growth, climate resilience, and affordable energy solutions. job creation, and sustainable agriculture. For example, local mobile assembly has created thousands of jobs, while the electric mobility sector, including electric buses and bicycles and motorcycles, supports green transport initiatives and offers affordable transport alternatives. Lithium-ion batteries production and the uptake of BEVs to further contribute to environmental stability and reduce reliance on fossil fuels, Honorable Speaker. You'll notice, Honorable Speaker, for example, for lithium-ion batteries, Kenya is one of the largest manufacturers of lithium batteries, allowing us even to export to other countries, including Tanzania, Honorable Speaker. This has only been made able through this zero rating, Honorable Speaker. In as much as we understand the strategy, Honorable Speaker, by the National Treasury to try to reduce tax expenditures, which have been in excess of 500 billion shillings every year. And Honorable Speaker, these tax expenditures, remember, our development budget is partly around 650 billion shillings. Whereas our tax expenditures is around 550 billion shillings. So our tax expenditures is almost as much as how much our development budget is, Honorable Speaker. But in as much as there is need to clean up the first and second schedule of the VAT Act on the zero rating and exempt status, it is also important to realize that we also operate under other protocols across the region. We have the East African Community Protocol, Honorable Speaker. We have the African Trade Protocol, Honorable Speaker, that will enable, if we do not have these incentives in our local market, it will enable manufacturers to move to a different country, manufacture there, Honorable Speaker, and we end up importing those particular products, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, it is very important that we are very deliberate to continue with the incentives that, Honorable Speaker, support our local manufacturing, Honorable Speaker. Most importantly, we have provided another clause where this abuse of exempt status or zero-rate status is going now to be punishable, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, there are administrative measures to make sure that these particular incentives of zero-rating and exempt status is used properly administratively rather than punishing a whole sector and making us uncompetitive in the region, Honorable Speaker. Clause 36 proposes subjecting several strategically important goods to a standard rate of 16%. However, Honorable Speaker, after careful consideration, the committee recommends that these goods remain listed under the first schedule and continue to enjoy VAT exempt status due to their critical role in advancing key national development priorities. The goods in question include items used in the construction of tourism infrastructure, such as recreational parks and conference centers, sectors that contribute significantly to foreign exchange earnings and job creation. In 2023 alone, tourism contributed 10% to GDP and supported more than 1.6 million jobs directly. Similarly, the exemption for goods in hospital construction equipment, especially for specialty hospitals with at least 50 beds, is very crucial in strengthening health infrastructure and in line with our universal health care agenda. Honorable Speaker, the exemption of aircraft, sports, spare parts, and tourist transport vehicles also aligns with Kenya's ambitions to solidify its status as an aviation hub of the region and to boost high-value tourism. The VAT exemption for inputs used in affordable housing projects directly supports the government housing agenda by lowering construction costs and accelerating project delivery for low and middle income earners. Exempting renewable energy equipment also reinforces Kenya's commitment to transitioning to clean energy in line with the national climate and global sustainability commitments. Additionally, Speaker, exempting weighing machinery for hospitals ensures that the healthcare providers are not burdened with additional costs for critical diagnostic tools. The committee's recommendation to preserve VAT exemption for these items reflect a deliberate effort to align fiscal policy with the government's overreaching development agenda, ensuring that tax measures promote and not hinder progress in sectors that are very vital to economic transformation and our social well-being. Clause 52, Honorable Speaker, which proposes to grant the Kenya Revenue Authority
Chair,
broad access to personal data.
Order, Honorable Chair. You know, these are very technical things. Just before you move from Clause 36, you mentioned something about tax expenditure, and then you are talking of zero rating exempt. Could you explain them to members, because I see you are losing so many members in terms of the effect thereof.
Honorable Speaker,
KJ is following. You can proceed.
Honorable Speaker, there are 3 VAT rates in Kenya. A product can be VATable under the standard rate of 16%, or exempt from VAT or zero rated. Now, the difference between a zero rated and exempt product is that for a zero rated product, the manufacturer is allowed to claim the amount of VAT they spent during input. Just to demonstrate, if a manufacturer is manufacturing this bottle of water, there are costs involved in the plastic container, for example. There are costs involved in the electricity bill that are VAT-able in manufacturing of this bottle. And therefore, the final outcome of this, like water, is VAT-able. So that means that when it is zero, if this product was zero rated, then the manufacturer is allowed to claim the amount of tax they spent on their inputs. Whereas in exempt, although there is no tax, there is no VAT in an exempt product, however, they are not allowed to claim the amount of tax they spent in inputting, as an input, Honorable Speaker, in manufacturing of that particular item. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this is why, ideally, as a product, a zero-rated product is meant to be cheaper than an exempt and than a standard product, Honorable Speaker. However, what we're referring now to tax expenditures is, when you are now claiming of input VAT, it means this is foregone tax by the government. It actually means that where your input tax could be higher than your output tax, then you go to KRA and ask for a refund. And now the challenge with this, and that's why you can see a deliberate effort by National Treasury trying to clean up the first and what we call the first and the second schedule of the VAT Act, which is now zero-rated products and exempt products, is we have many fictitious claims of input VAT. Where we have some entities that employ more accountants, Honorable Speaker, than actually the officers who run. An example in hospitals, you find, maybe an example, for example, one of the, I don't want to give an example of a particular institution, that will be to dispatch them. But you've seen institutions that say manufacturing X product, but the number of accountants they have in that business is more than anyone else. And therefore, all they do is process refunds for VAT. Secondly, the budget that we provide with National Treasury and through KRA for tax, for those refunds, is only 5 billion, against a demand of excess of 50 billion at any particular time. And therefore, that also creates a loophole, because how do you determine who gets paid, who gets refunded when, Honorable Speaker? And therefore, the ideal situation in future could be for the products that we must protect is probably introduce a lower VAT rate of maybe around 2% or 3% or 4%, so that we remove this issue of zero rating, Honorable Speaker. However, this bill has provided now for a recourse where KRA is able to satisfy itself that a particular entity is misusing this particular product is supposed to be zero rate or exempt, Honorable Speaker, then there is a penalty for it. A very good example, Honorable Speaker, one of the debates that we've had, even with you as a member of our committee, has been the zero rating of transportation of sugar, of sugarcane in sugar bacteria. So although that is a very huge cost to those particular areas, now the question has been, when you zero rate, now you allow them to claim that fuel, for example, they use on the tractor, how do you verify that fuel was actually used for the transportation of sugarcane? Or is that fuel bought and goes to support other activities, but is claimed or said to have been used to transportation of sugarcane? So those are the complications, Honorable Speaker, that we deal with now VAT-able products, exempt products, and zero products. And that is what now accounts to tax expenditures. And I hope I've been able to explain to you, Honorable Speaker. So Clause 52, Honorable Speaker, is proposing to grant Kenya Revenue Authority, and this is very important, broad access to personal data for tax compliance purposes, including trade secrets and confidential customer information. The committee thoroughly scrutinized this provision, and after extensive public engagement and consultation with stakeholders, we found that this proposal fails to meet the constitutional standards set under Article 31C and D of the Constitution of Kenya, which guarantee the right to privacy. The committee also noted that the Data Protection Act, particularly Section 51, sets out clear and limited grounds under which access to personal data may be exempted from certain protections. Furthermore, Section 60 of the Tax Procedures Act already provides the commissioner or an authorized officer with sufficient powers to obtain necessary information for tax administration, subject to court-issued warrant. These safeguards strike a balance between tax enforcement and protection of individuals, Honorable Speaker. As you check, if you check, Honorable Speaker, the Tax Procedures, the Tax Procedures Act, it expressly provides and gives power to Kenya Revenue Authority to require a business to integrate with their system. And they can even, through a court order, access any information they want from a taxpayer, Honorable Speaker. However, we provided for, through the Tax Procedures Act that we amended in December, Honorable Speaker, to exempt the following two from access by KRA. Trade secrets, A, and B, private and personal data. So by deleting this proposal, by deleting now, because the current Tax Procedures Act, to almost read verbatim, I don't have the act here, but I can try to remember what it says. The commissioner shall not require the taxpayer to provide information relating to A, trade secrets, B, private and personal data. So by this proposal to delete that shall not require KRA to provide that particular data, Honorable Speaker, it actually means that KRA can access all private and personal data, and include even trade secrets, Honorable Speaker. There are some institutions that have a recipe for some beverages that are said should never be shared with members of the public. Now, what happens if you give access to such particular data, Honorable Speaker? So we feel that there is sufficient provision in the Tax Procedures Act on access to data, and we do not need to expressly provide for absolute access to trade secrets and private and personal data held by taxpayers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the view of existing legal framework and of concerns by the Kenyans, the committee concluded that the proposed amendment is both unnecessary and potentially unconstitutional. The committee has remained consistent on this matter in previous finance-related measures brought before this House. Moreover, Honorable Speaker, this decision aligns with the global best practices, including the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, a landmark policy privacy law that took effect in European Union in May 2018. Although GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulatory Framework, is an European-based law, Honorable Speaker, its principles have set global standards for data protection and directly influence Kenya's, our own Data Protection Act. These principles emphasize individual control, transparency, and strict conditions for data processing. Upholding these standards is vital for protecting citizens' privacy, maintaining public trust, and ensuring that Kenya's regulatory environment remains credible, secure, and investor-friendly in an increasingly digital world. Mr. Speaker, the committee proposes the introduction of a new clause 28A to amend paragraph 1C of the second schedule of the Income Tax Act. This amendment will allow telecommunication operators to claim investment allowance on the cost of spectrum licenses, just as they currently do for the items like optic cables. For spectrum licenses acquired before 1st of July 2025, the reduction will only apply only to the remaining unclaimed portion and will be spread over the remaining useful life of the license. The committee fully supports this proposal as it aligns with our agenda to access on digital transformation and youth empowerment. Spectrum licenses are key investment for telecom companies. Allowing tax reduction will ease the cost burden and encourage further investment in digital infrastructure. This expansion will create opportunities for young people by improving access to digital services, supporting digital entrepreneurship, and driving job creation in the technology and innovation sectors, Honorable Speaker. It is quite unfortunate, despite Kenya being one of the countries with the highest mobile connectivity, there are still some places in this country that there is no network. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this particular incentive would incentivize our telecom companies, Honorable Speaker, to create, to have more mobile connectivity, Honorable Speaker, including in some of the places in my constituency, like some lower parts of Mareshani. Honorable Speaker, these committee's proposals reflect not only a stakeholders' input, but also a sound economic reasoning grounded in Carnesian's physical stimulus principles. By incentivizing housing, manufacturing, and green energy, the finance bill supports aggregate demand, promotes employment, and stimulates growth in all while preserving fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, as we deliberate the finance bill 2025, it is crucial to prioritize measures that effectively expand our tax base and enhance revenue generation. This may involve innovative tax policy approaches such as incentivizing compliance, simplifying tax procedures, and overreaching barriers that hinder our revenue growth. Mr. Speaker, addressing this issue proactively and implementing them effectively, tax policies will ensure that we increase our tax revenue collection in line with our economic potential. This will strengthen our fiscal position, allowing for investment in key sectors, social welfare programs, and infrastructure development that will foster economic growth to benefit all Kenyans. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this huge task would not have been completed without the efforts of our dedicated and most professional secretariat staff. These unsung heroes work day and night without any supervision to ensure that the committee report before the House comprehensively responds to each of the 5,000 plus submissions received by this committee. Honorable Speaker, this report would not also have been possible were it not for the commitment of members of the Finance and National Planning Committee. Honorable Speaker, I am proud to be one among the equals who lead a very effective, committed team of members of this particular committee. Honorable Speaker, we were able to divide ourselves in groups, and with the record 10 days covered public participation in 10 different counties across this republic. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, in your inaugural speech at this House as the newly appointed Speaker in 2023, you indicated that one of our key visions for the National Assembly was to go e-Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I am proud that in consideration of the Finance Bill of 2025, it was a paperless exercise. The only paper in the process was a copy of the report we tabled last week. I also to inform this committee, Honorable Speaker, this was an invention of a young man, an intern in the Committee of Finance and Planning, National Planning, called Alan Kimani. This young man, Honorable Speaker, an intern, a computer science graduate of Kenyan University, Honorable Speaker, developed a QR code that stakeholders, when it came to submit their proposals, they will just scan and they will register without having now to jump the queue, and you will know who came first and give them a first chance. In addition, stakeholders do not have to bring photocopies of their submission, Honorable Speaker. They were able to just scan the QR code, access the bill itself, give them an option to comment clause by clause over the bill, access the explainer that this Honorable House had published, Honorable Speaker, and if they want to just give general comments, to be able to do that, Honorable Speaker. This made the process seamless and paperless, and I want to laud this young man called Alan Kimani, because that is how we should grow our technology. That is how we should use our energies, our young people, Honorable Speaker. And I want to challenge young people in this country, Honorable Speaker. I have seen a lot of people even text me, Honorable Speaker, asking, is it true you are taxing new babies? Is it true we are taxing this and the other? And Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate some of these people are very learned people. And this public finance, this is the finance bill, and even the explainer are publicly available documents. Just by a simple Google search or a simple access to Parliament website, Honorable Speaker, you will access this particular information, Honorable Speaker. But they don't bother to read, Honorable Speaker. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the disinformation and the deliberate misinformation and disinformation is sickening, and it must stop. These people who deliberately create stories, whereas they know it is lies. You are saying there is tax for new babies, and you know for sure there's nothing like that. They should be ashamed, and they should use their knowledge for better purposes, Honorable Speaker. With that, I beg to move, and I request the Honorable CPA Julius Ruto, the MP for Great Member of Keses, to second.
The Honorable CPA Julius Ruto.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I think the leader of majority is confirming that the committee is well professionalized. And that is why the report goes beyond any reproach. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the report tabled by the Chairman, Finance and National Planning Committee, CPA Kuria Kimani, and to express our joy as a committee as we stand before the House that this particular year finance bill, as it is said, is one of the best finance bills because it never focuses on the vertical adjustment as it used to be traditionally, but rather it's trying to stress on the horizontal adjustment, broadening the pace of tax collection and ensuring that it makes ease for Kenyans to participate in tax payment, unlike the complexities that were there before. Most of the tax acts that are in existence add a lot of duplications and complexities in terms of redundancy of some laws in it. Remember, technology has changed the business world, and most of the issues that have gone technology could bring a lot of issues in trying to complicate and duplicate what could otherwise be obtained technically than to be done through the paperwork as it used to be before, especially filing of tax returns. And this particular finance bill, Mr. Speaker, serves to adjust those ones. Again, we need to remember that this particular Honorable House, recently we passed what we call tax laws, tax policy, which has never been there before. And if you look at the flow of this particular finance bill, it's trying to respond to the requirements of the tax policy that is trying to encourage the business world in a manner that is so predictable so that business people can be able to plan their business knowing that the tax regimes that are in place can accommodate a certain given period and they can plan their profitability well, they can plan their strategies well. Mr. Speaker, looking at this particular finance bill proposals, I want to allow so much the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury because most of the issues, as I have said, is trying also to mitigate the challenges that for quite some time we've never foreseen as a country. The issue of tax expenditure, as we've said. Tax expenditure, which the report of finance of 2023 indicated we lost the tune of 560 billion, between 510 to 560 billion. When we talk of tax expenditure, Mr. Speaker, these are exemptions that we give, these are tax remissions that we give, and the tax reimbursements that are being claimed by the business owners, manufacturers, and those who trade in the zero-rated inputs. And most of them has no clear line of transferring the final benefit to the consumer. Because most of this happens in the world of, as you say, professional engagement. But if you look at some products and look at the cost, the pricing in the market, you can actually see how the benefit is. Most of us, I know, we visited our health facilities. And when we access healthcare, especially those who are covered by insurance, the cost that you see when you sign there is so huge that at times you are defeated to know those benefits that were provided by this honorable house through the tax laws that we pass here, how does it come to be to the consumer? And those are the issues that we want to minimize so that in future we stop increasing taxes, but rather we collect enough from available tools and finance our budget accordingly. Another issue, Mr. Speaker, that we must also look at it is that this country, we have enough sufficient laws that can support our collection. The challenge we are having is the tools and the systems our Kenya revenue team are using. And this is something this particular finance bill is speaking about it, to encourage the Commissioner General of Kenya Revenue to ensure that he puts in place proper system and mechanism. And if there is any support, and I saw the other day in the budget, they are asking for additional funding to improve on their systems so that they're able to reduce on leakages, reduce on corruption, and reduce on losses that could not be seen through the weak systems they have in place so that we can reduce on under collection, maximize the target revenue that we give each and every year without stressing Kenyans. And I think that's a main issue that, Mr. Speaker, this particular finance bill is speaking about it. However, Mr. Speaker, as a committee, and I want to invite members of public, especially the stakeholders who had an opportunity to engage the committee, to read this particular report from the chair from today, that this particular report reflects almost more than 80% what members of public proposed in the public participation. More than 80%, if you look at it from the VAT, from the excise duty, from the income tax. And this is the area that we want to ask members of public, before they react on a proposal tabled by the Cabinet Secretary, they need to give time their own house, National Assembly, because through the procedure of National Assembly, where the laws are made, and where Constitution of Kenya, Article 118, has guided this honorable house to seek the views of Kenyans before they legislate on any bill before them. This is a good example that has onboarded this one. That is why most of the clauses, like clause number 28, and remember, Mr. Speaker, it is just 2 years, or not more than 2 years, where we passed a law, a finance act, where we zero-rated most of the locally manufactured items that are needed by Kenyans, especially issues like phones, in response to climate change mitigation,
steps that this country and any other country in the world that we are adopting to address the challenges brought by climate change, that we passed a law to give leeway for these ones. And this proposal was seeking to take out that particular advantage that was given to the manufacturing concerns. Mr. Speaker, the committee, in listening to the members of public, decided to protect that and to protect that particular, and deleted that particular proposals. There is another critical issue that the chair said, the issue of data protection. Whereas Kenya Revenue are trying to give justification as to why they are facing challenges. But there are enough laws, if you look at it, under Section 51 of the Data Protection Act, that gives some limited opportunities or grounds, of which Commissioner General, and even Section 60 of the Tax Procedures Act, it has given some limited powers to the Commissioner General to go beyond some limits to obtain the information they need, especially during assessment or in-depth audit when they are carrying out on their taxpayer. But giving a blanket leeway for them to access personal data became so insecurity. I mean, it's a question of insecurity. And most members of public are worried about this one. And so to the committee, we decided to stay out this particular clause until and when Kenya Revenue can prove that they have any other limitations beyond what the law has provided. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that is coming out is the issue on SEP, that is the taxes or levied on, that is clause 6 of this particular bill. Clause 6 of this particular bill, where it's trying to address the issue of significant economic presence tax. The last Finance Act gave a limitations of 5 million as a threshold. However, it came out to be clear that these particular practitioners in this particular world or space of business, most of them are not within the boundaries of the Republic. And you are aware that non-residents doesn't file taxes. So the proposal to eliminate this particular threshold was a welcome, because so that everybody who derives income within the boundaries of Kenya would be able to pay tax despite the limits of whatever income they can derive in this particular republic. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this particular bill and to call on Kenyans that for once they need to be patient and consume the right message that has been tabled in the House. I saw the other day the cabinet secretary in a public forum somewhere where a Kenyan was asking him, it is said, or there is a proposal that the VAT rate will be increased from 16% to 18%. For sure, of all the 52 clauses, nowhere is mentioning about adjusting the VAT rate. But look at the information that is moving around there. All the information that is distorted outside there, that is meant to incite Kenyans by some few quarters, some people who are enemies of economic progress. We need to call out on them, but again to ask Kenyans to be of good spirit and of goodwill, and let them follow the procedures of the National Assembly and the reports that are at the table here, the bills that are at the table here. They can obtain them through the space, the website of the Parliament, or they can even request through our table office, and they can get even through their representatives who are the members of Parliament, who might not, they can access this information so that they can deliberate on these critical bills and give the value they deserve input in these particular bills. With that, Mr. Speaker, I second the bill. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 19 of 2025 be now read a second time. The Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this bill in its second reading. Honorable Speaker, maybe before I say what I have to say on the bill, allow me, Honorable Speaker, also to express my disappointment with the shooting that just happened. I had not seen that video. I've just watched that video. It's very unfortunate. And as we were saying earlier, our police officers must exercise restraint even as they conduct their work, and appreciate that they are dealing with fellow human beings so that we do not lose limb or lives, even with the demonstrations that people are carrying on with. Honorable Speaker, moving on, allow me, Honorable Speaker, first to commend the committee led by the Honorable Kimani Kuria and all the other 14 members of that committee, including CPA Julius Ruto, who doubts whether I am aware that the committee is well professionalized. You know, this Julius doesn't know that I was a CPA when he was still in high school. Yes, I qualified as a CPA when Julius was still in high school, and I think the chair of the committee must have been in primary school. In 1999, Honorable Speaker, that's when I qualified as a CPA. While still as a university, studying as a university student, I was a fully qualified CPA, long before I graduated from the University of Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, a lot has been said of this bill by the chair, and therefore we will not delve onto issues that will sound repetitive. But it's important, Honorable Speaker, to highlight just a few things, because, Honorable Speaker, over the last 2 years, the finance bill in this country has been christened as a bill that is there to punish Kenyans, to punish them with what has been called overtaxation, Honorable Speaker, and make Kenyans poorer. And when I listened to the chair move, I couldn't resist recalling the events of June last year, and actually from April of last year, the campaign that was there of disinformation and misinformation. Honorable Speaker, you remember again in April this year, the same campaign began. And the chair has alluded to it that a lot of negativity has been spread about the finance bill. And there are many Kenyans out there who believe that the finance bill is a tool to punish them or a tool to make them poorer. But, Honorable Speaker, allow me to just point out that the finance bill also serves as a tool to improve the lives of the people and not necessarily to punish them. And I'll just highlight a few things, Honorable Speaker, beginning with some of the provisions that have been alluded to on the Income Tax Act, Honorable Speaker. For those who have cared to look at this report, because again, as the chair has said, very many people rush to comment on the finance bill without even having read what is contained in that finance bill, or even seeking to get help from those who have read it to be able to interpret what is provided for. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the Income Tax Act, for instance, there is a proposal to increase the tax-free cash benefit, or what are per diems that are paid to employees, both in the private and public sector, from 2,000 shillings to 10,000 shillings per night. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, for those of you who enjoy per diems when you work out of your station, including members of parliament, you are only allowed a tax-free amount of up to 2,000 shillings. Now you can enjoy a tax-free per diem of up to 10,000 shillings. Meaning if you're out of your station for 30 days and you are paid 300,000 shillings, that will be tax-free, Honorable Speaker. Is a direct benefit to employees and workers in our country. Remember, Honorable Speaker, in our 2024 bill, which was demonized with disinformation, there was a proposal which we later passed in December. But Kenyans, again, because they never paid attention, never got to know that also touching on non-cash benefits. I've spoken about cash benefits. Non-cash benefits, for instance, there are many people who are working in factories, in industrial area, who get non-cash benefits, probably in allowance, things like lunch, which is a non-cash benefit, or free transport, and you are taxed for it. And we had elevated that, Honorable Speaker, last year from 36,000 shillings to 60,000 shillings. That now non-cash benefits you enjoy up to 60,000 shillings, which is equivalent to about 5,000 shillings. If your employer is facilitating you with company transport or company lunch, up to 5,000 shillings a month is tax-free. Per diem, up to 300,000 shillings or 10,000 shillings a day is tax-free. Honorable Speaker, moving on again on the Income Tax Act, there's a tax relief that has been introduced on mortgage interest on residential home construction. Again, Honorable Speaker, in our 2024 bill, we had a tax deduction that we moved on interest that you pay on purchase of a house from 300,000, and we upped that to 360,000 shillings. That fell with the finance bill of 2024. When we did the tax amendment laws in December, to the benefit of Kenyans, we reintroduced that particular provision, and today Kenyans can enjoy tax-free tax reliefs on mortgage interest up to 360,000 shillings, up from 300,000 shillings. That means for every 30,000 shillings that you pay as interest on your mortgage, you don't pay tax on it, or you can claim tax against it. And I can see the Honorable Kwenya nodding because I know he's enjoying a mortgage that he's paying heavily from the National Assembly. Now, Honorable Speaker, again, even for us as members of Parliament and many other Kenyans who choose not to take a mortgage to go and buy a complete unit of a house and choose to take a mortgage facility and build, construct their own house, they will be able to enjoy the same benefit of up to 30,000 shillings per month or 360,000 shillings a year. Therefore, Kenyans who are borrowing mortgage facilities from their SACCOs, from banks, from mortgage finance companies, Honorable Speaker, will now be able to benefit this. Again, as I said, including us, because I know, Honorable Speaker, like now this year, this current Parliament, when I took my mortgage, I didn't buy a house. I sought to renovate an existing house, Honorable Speaker, or reconstruct a house. And I've been paying heavily interest of up to about 180,000 shillings a month. Now I can enjoy tax-free up to 360,000 a year. Honorable Speaker, if you look at other provisions on pay as you earn, Honorable Speaker, again, many Kenyans have been overtaxed, largely because on account of their employers or the people who pay them, the employers not allowing them to claim all the deductible expenses, Honorable Speaker, that are deductible ahead of paying pay as you earn. And now this bill, Honorable Speaker, I can't remember in one of the clauses, is making it now mandatory for employers to apply correctly all the deductions that may occasion such overtaxation, and therefore employees will not end up requesting or looking for tax refunds from KRA, because many of them have to wait until when they are doing their tax returns at the end of June or in the course of June to be able to claim tax refunds. Now that will be checked, Honorable Speaker, with now this particular provision that allows all deductions and exemptions and tax reliefs that previously were not being claimed to be now be claimed ahead of paying your pay as you earn. This also, Honorable Speaker, will ease the tax burden, not only on Kenyans, but also reduce the workload on Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, another important aspect is advanced pricing agreements that are contained in this particular bill relating to multinationals and that are operating in the country or have permanent establishments in Kenya, and in their pricing transactions between them and related entities, that you can now have an advanced pricing agreement between a multinational and its subsidiary, if that multinational is operating in Kenya, to create certainty, Honorable Speaker. And this CPAs here will tell you one of the cardinal principles of taxation is certainty, so that you know at what pricing levels you'll be able to claim between a parent company or a multinational and its subsidiary here or outside the country. Honorable Speaker, there is also an incentive on the capping of carry, well, not necessarily an incentive, Honorable Speaker, but you realize many businesses, Honorable Speaker, and I hear the chair alluded to it, are allowed to carry on their losses. When you make a loss, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, up to 5 years, you are allowed to carry forward a loss, set them against your future income, Honorable Speaker, or your future profits. Not profits, Honorable Speaker, but taxes. And therefore, the bill had proposed to limit this to a 5-year period, that if you make losses for a period of 5 years, year in, year out, you can continue carrying forward those losses. But at the end of 5 years, then you are stopped, or you are stopped from claiming against your tax obligations, any losses that you incur. But as the chair has said, the committee, Honorable Speaker, and it's important because Kenyans were asking last year, do these parliamentarians ever listen to us? And you remember we were accused of not listening. But, Honorable Speaker, it is actually Kenyans that were not listening to Parliament. Because last year, when the bill came to this House, the chair went through the rigorous process that they have gone through today. Public participation, proposed amendments to the bill, like he is saying today. And I'm saying this because he has just said this particular provision is one of the provisions that elicited a lot of reactions from Kenyans when they came through public participation. And I must commend the committee because they did not just do public participation in Nairobi. They went to other counties. I saw from their report, I see they went to Kwale, they went to Migori, they went to Nandi, they went to Busia, Trans Nzoia, and Mombasa counties, Kilifi, and that which they were doing in Nairobi. And across all these counties, part of the provisions that elicited a lot of reactions from Kenyans was that particular provision to stop Kenyans from carrying forward losses. The committee, in cognizance of the issues that were raised by Kenyans, again, like last year, is proposing that we amend and allow that period on application to be carried forward beyond the 5 years. Therefore, if you have a business that you set up today, you make losses for 5 years, and the 6th year, you think you still qualify to claim against your future tax obligations, on application to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury, you will be allowed for a further period of 5 years, Honorable Speaker. That, again, is to check the abuse of that process, because there are people who make money, make profits, but continue claiming or using tax avoidance measures to claim their losses into perpetuity, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, even with a capping of 5 years, again, that can be extended. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issue of the income tax exemptions for public and private sector gratuity, Honorable Speaker. Again, last year, we had this provision in the finance bill. When Kenyans said, don't amend, reject, it was rejected. But again, in the tax amendment laws of 2024, we brought in the provision to allow any person who enjoys gratuity, whether you're in the private or public sectors, Honorable Speaker, and now the bill is clarifying that it is retirees or people who are getting gratuity, both from the private or public sectors, Honorable Speaker, to be able to enjoy exemption on income tax. Therefore, whatever gratuity you paid, you will not pay income tax on it. Again, putting money back to the pockets of our retirees or people who are ending their contractual work, for those who work on contracts, Honorable Speaker, like members of Parliament and others who have a 5-year tenure. And this ensures, Honorable Speaker, that retirees keep more of their gratuity, supporting their financial security and dignity even beyond their working life, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Add the majority leader 2 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, I'm mentioning these things because they are important. Because of the campaign of misinformation and disinformation that the chair alluded to, Kenyans are made to believe that there is nothing in the finance bill to benefit them. Today, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, there are tax incentives that we put again in the tax amendment laws of 2024, or the Tax Amendment Act of 2024, which had been declined in the finance bill of 2024. Again, because of the campaign of misinformation, Kenyans did not know that these are incentives that were coming to help them to create jobs for our young people, Honorable Speaker. Some of these incentives, Honorable Speaker, spoke to the amount of money. For instance, in the 2024 Tax Laws Amendment Act, we reduced the rate of capital gains tax from 15% to 5% for firms that are certified by the Nairobi International Financial Center Authority, and further reduced the threshold of investments that qualify for the lower rate from 5 billion, an investment of 5 billion, down to 3 billion. This year, again, Honorable Speaker, the committee and the bill is proposing that for companies that invest 3 billion in new capital, within the first 3 years, they will enjoy a reduced corporate tax rate of 15% for the first 10 years and 20% for the next 10 years. And to qualify, these companies must have 70% Kenyan senior management employees. And for regional headquarters, 60% of senior management must be Kenyans, to sensitize multinationals and companies that are investing those huge amounts in Kenya to employ Kenyans, even in senior management. Also, Honorable Speaker, for startups that are certified by the Nairobi International Financial Center Authority, they will benefit from a lower tax rate of 15% for the first 3 years and 20% for the next 4 years to support their earlier growth. This, again, as I said, is to support the growth of new industry, new investments that will create jobs for our young Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, even as people incite others out there, it is important that, I thought it was important, Honorable Speaker, not to be very technical, but just to highlight a few of the good things, very good provisions that are in this bill, some which were lost last year because of the misinformation, and plead with Kenyans, as I congratulate the young in turn, and plead with the management of the Parliament, led by the Speaker himself as the chair of the Parliamentary Service Commission, to consider when this young man, Alan Kimani, graduates from his college, to consider hiring him permanently as a staff of this Parliament, Honorable Speaker, because it is such genius, Honorable Speaker, such innovative young Kenyans who are utilizing their intellect for the benefit of Kenyans, not utilizing their time on social media to demonize, disinform, misinform other Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. The platform and the QR code that this young man created, as you have heard, enable Parliament as an institution to be able to engage more meaningfully with Kenyans. Unlike the other lady, Honorable Speaker, who was arrested, can't remember her name, for creating a platform that was, one, disinforming Kenyans.
Add him 1 minute.
Honorable Speaker, you need to inform the Honorable Member for Kitui Central that I am not this guy. I am the member for Kikuyu. My name is Kimani Ichung'wa.
Honorable.
And the leader of majority. More senior than Kalonzo Musyoka today. Honorable Speaker, I was saying that lady who had created a platform that simply at the click of a button was sending a lot of emails to the parliamentary website, Honorable Speaker, to clog the system and stop Kenyans from giving valid views. I must congratulate Mr. Alan Kimani, a young Kenyan, very innovative and a genius. And I plead with the Parliamentary Service Commission at the right time to consider him. So that those who are fond of praising young people in this country and stratifying them into generations, like Makali Mulu's party leader, to know that it is the intellect of such young people that you need to harp on. Because some of those people, even praising those young people and stratifying them into generations, don't have children in the generations that they keep talking about in political rallies. They don't even understand or comprehend the kind of intellect that these young people have that are helping Kenya.
Yeah, the Honorable David Boni.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I wish Honorable Kimani Ichung'wa should stick to the issues of finance bill instead of bringing issues of politics to a very
Honorable
important.
David Boni.
Yes, Speaker.
I'm the one running the House. Can you make your contribution?
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. As a member of Finance Committee, I associate myself to the finance bill and the amendments which are raised, which have been proposed by the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, people mistake Finance Committee as a document which is aimed at raising revenue. But Finance Bill, it has three components. One, to raise revenue to finance the budget. Two, to introduce incentives to target sectors to attract investment. And number three, to give tax reliefs to income earners so that their incomes can be increased. Mr. Speaker, the current finance bill which we are discussing is one of the fairest since the last parliament. The last two finance bills were aimed at raising over 200 billion each. This one is only targeting to raise 24 billion shillings, which is quite fair to the economy. Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes a comprehensive tax reforms aimed at improving efficiency and fairness in tax system. Key among them is to overhaul tax incentives, which have traditionally favored few sectors in the economy. Mr. Speaker, if you look at what has been happening, some sectors have been really favored to the extent that we already have state capture in this country. But I will really talk about it later. The bill proposes to align this intensity by limiting VAT rating strictly to exports and exceptions only to essential and unprocessed goods. The bill proposes to introduce incentives to priority areas like tea and coffee sectors. Mr. Speaker, foreign direct investment in this country has really been very low compared to our neighbors. 2023, our foreign direct investment, which came to this country, was $710 billion US. Compared to Uganda, which had 2.5 billion, no, Kenya had 750 million US. Uganda had 2.3 billion. Tanzania had 1.5 billion. Now, Kenyan economy is a very big economy to get such a foreign direct investment. And this bill is trying to encourage foreign direct investment through Nairobi International Finance Center. Now, this is what the bill is proposing, that anybody who is investing $3 billion and above will get tax relief of 50% corporate tax for 10 years, and 20% or in the next 20 years. These are very good things because it will attract people who want to come and invest in this country, and the country will be able to create jobs and incomes, and therefore economic growth. Mr. Speaker, looking at the bill is proposing tax relief on retirement benefits, which include gratuity and pension. Mr. Speaker, the people who are earning pension and gratuity, they are the people who have really served this country. And they are the people who have actually spent a lot of time, and giving them a relief on their pensions and gratuity is going to increase their disposable income, and therefore help them to live a better life. It is also proposed to increase tax-free per diem from 2,000 to 10,000. So, Speaker, basically, if the current situation is that if you're earning 2,000 per diem, that is tax-free. Anything above 2,000, you are supposed to pay as you earn, because that one is treated as an income. But the bill is proposing this provision to move to 10,000. Above 10,000, you are supposed to pay income tax. Mr. Speaker, the bill is proposing major cleanups in VAT, whereby they are proposing several items from zero rating to exempt. This includes supplies to pharmaceuticals, transportation of sugarcane, supply of electric bicycles, among others. Mr. Speaker, the effect of this is that we are likely to see prices of these products going up because manufacturers and suppliers are likely to transfer that cost to the final consumer. However, this is actually aimed at reducing tax expenditure. Tax expenditure in this country has been very high. 2023 tax expenditure was 510 billion shillings, of which 332 billion was VAT refunds. Mr. Speaker, when you look at our deficits, currently is around 925 billion. Now, if you remove 510, for example, then our deficit is going to be lower than what we expect. But tax incentives are also very important. Tax incentives are also very important because they are also incentives to manufacturers and investors who will come to invest in this country. And therefore, we can still earn income, revenues from VAT and other things. But we need to look at this and make sure that the tax expenditures are reduced. Mr. Speaker, the bill proposes access to financial and business secrets. These are provisions which has Treasury has been bringing it to finance bills from 2023. And this one, to me, is a very dangerous provision because you are saying if, for example, you go sleep in a hotel, KRA can be able to get your data to know where you slept and whom you slept with. KRA will be able to go to accounts and know how much money you're depositing in your account. So I think this one, and given that there are other provisions in the bill, especially on the Tax Procedure Act, which gives KRA authority to go and access that data. I think this is this provision, as my chair said, this was as a committee, we say this provision can be misused because that data can be misused. So that one we declined. Mr. Speaker, there's an issue which has been going on export promotion levy. And basically, we feel this export promotion levy has not been actually beneficial to even to exports. Because even you look at the exports in this country this year, last year, they increased by 2.5%. Now, if you gross it up using inflation, that does not make sense. But more so, this bill is proposing reduction of export promotion levy of iron, steel, and iron, just from 17.5 to 10%. I think we also need to reduce it further. Due to reduce it further to 5%. Because the time we increased these rates for imported billets and clinker, the cement and steel increased. Cement rose from 650 to around 900. And if you look at the growth of construction last year from annual economic survey, the construction, building and construction industry shrank by negative 0.7%. Now, these are the effects of this export promotion levy, which is not helping the country. And we also understand that money is not reinvested. It's going to Treasury, and these people cannot even be able to access it. Therefore, I think we need to further reduction of this. I think the California taxes, the proposal of 10 or 5 years, and I think the committee has pronounced itself to this. If you tell somebody to invest 2 billion, and I understand putting up a factory of 2 billion, you require like 5 years.
The Honorable John Kiarie.
He's in the house.
Oh, you are not in the house.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you. And allow me, Mr. Speaker, to before contributing to this bill to say that the events in the streets of Nairobi this afternoon were tragic. The death was needless, and Mr. Speaker, I will say no more. Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I would like to thank the Committee on Finance and congratulate the Honorable Kimani Kuria and all the esteemed members of this committee, those who have burnt the midnight oil, Mr. Speaker, to present to us a finance bill that is generally agreeable and mostly favorable to the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the work that goes into the preparation of a finance bill knowing that a finance bill is new every year, amending quite a number of laws. We have to commend this committee for the judicious work they have done, combing through our laws, combing through the Income Tax Act, combing through the value-added tax, combing through our excess duty tax, the Tax Procedures Act, and all these other miscellaneous laws that could be existing for them to be able to compile such a good report, Mr. Speaker, that we are debating this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I see reason to celebrate, and that's why I support this bill. For us who are in sector, in the ICT and digital economy sector, Mr. Speaker, we see a reason to smile. Mr. Speaker, the proposals being made here are going to issue tax incentives on spectrum license, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, as you would understand, connectivity today is not a luxury. Even what we used to think to be a utility, like mobile connectivity, or even telephony, or computer connection through the internet, Mr. Speaker, is no longer a luxury. Today, connectivity, Mr. Speaker, is a matter of life and death. But even more importantly, the investment that goes to allow for this connectivity is a very heavy capital investment, Mr. Speaker. So that if there is a telco that is needing to put up a mast or a tower or anything that has to do with connectivity, including broadband fiber, Mr. Speaker, if they could get relief through these tax incentives, then we know that that will transfer to the end user, who is the public. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this finance bill. Mr. Speaker, combing through this report and looking even at the proposals made in this finance bill, I do see that we are seeking to zero rate the local assembly of mobile phones, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it might not be known to many, but today in Kenya, we are moving towards being a device manufacturer in this country. Mr. Speaker, if you visited Dedan Kimathi University today, you shall find young Kenyans assembling mobile phones, assembling tablets that shall be accessible to Kenyans, some at a cost lower than 5,000 Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker. So when this finance bill zero rates the local assembly of mobile phones, Mr. Speaker, not only are we increasing the accessibility to these devices, Mr. Speaker, but we're connecting our country further and growing the digital and creative economy by availing affordable gadgets to the hands of local content creators and even the developers who are developing apps, Mr. Speaker. Some of the young people who are doing an amazing job coding solutions for country, Mr. Speaker, stand to benefit from this finance bill if we do agree as a House to zero rate the local assembly of mobile phones, Mr. Speaker. And I can assure you that just by that one act of zero rating the local assembly, we are going to drastically lower the cost of mobile phones that shall be assembled in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I see this finance bill proposing that we zero rate the local assembly of electric motorcycles, of bicycles that are electric, and buses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know we are not a producer of oil. We do not have oil wells in this country. The oil we depend on for fuel, Mr. Speaker, is imported at a premium, Mr. Speaker, at a time when we really need to secure our foreign exchange, Mr. Speaker. Then if we would move towards this drive of electric vehicles, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we are able to produce power unlimited. It is in this country that we are able to produce green power from geothermal. We are able to produce power from hydroelectricity, Mr. Speaker. And so electric vehicles are a solution for today and into the future for this country, Mr. Speaker. And I must commend the committee for the judicious work they have done and listening to Kenyans and hearing some of these extremely innovative and progressive ideas like zero rating our local assembly of electric motor vehicles, motorcycles, bicycles, and buses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I did take note as the chairman was moving on the proposal in the committee report where they are seeking to delete Clause 52. Clause 52 says that Section 59A of the Tax Procedures Act is amended by deleting subsection 1B. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the committee's move in their report to delete this clause 52, Mr. Speaker. And there's good reason for it. This clause 52 is seeking to delete from our laws a provision that is to be found, and in our bill here, it's in page 458, on the data management and reporting system. Mr. Speaker, as our laws stand today, they provide that the commissioner may establish a data management reporting system for the submission of electronic documents, including detailed transactional data retaining to these documents. And in 1B, our laws provide that the commissioner shall not require a person to integrate or share data relating to 1, trade secrets, and B, private or personal data held on behalf of customers or collected in the course of business. Mr. Speaker, there are 2 reasons why I would support the committee to be able to delete this clause 52. One is the fact that even if they succeeded in going in this direction, they might not be able to raise the taxes that they are seeking to raise by allowing the commissioner to be able to require a person to integrate or share their data relating to trade secrets or private or personal data that is held on behalf of customers or collected in the course of business. Mr. Speaker, I was part of the formulation of a very important act of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Act. Mr. Speaker, I have to report to this House that Kenya's data law is lauded across the globe as one of the most robust data protection laws that is in existence, Mr. Speaker. I heard the chairperson, Finance, talking about GDPR. GDPR, yes, is a standard setter. It is the data law in the European Union. However, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that the Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Law is even better than GDPR, to the sense that when we were crafting the law, we were able to look and do a search and spin across the world and see how data laws were sitting in other jurisdictions, and then integrate the nuances of the Kenyan situation. And that is how we were able to come up with such a robust law in the name of Kenya Privacy and Data Protection Laws. Mr. Speaker, we have no business offending what is working, because if it is working, there is no reason to fix it. So, Mr. Speaker, I do support the committee's move to delete clause 52 so that the commissioner does not require any person to integrate or share data that is relating to trade secrets, but most importantly, to private or personal data, because, Mr. Speaker, our laws do provide in such a way that we have gained such good reputation out there because of a matter called adequacy in data laws. Our laws are considered to be adequate. And by diluting our laws, Mr. Speaker, we shall run the risk of running into adequacy problems with our data laws. And as such, Mr. Speaker, I do believe that the move towards allowing the commissioner to be able to access private data shall be faulting our laws, and also shall be a move that shall not benefit in terms of tax collection. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to support this finance bill and recommend that any Kenyan who has any issue with this to first get the facts, because the disinformation is rife, the misinformation and the malinformation is out there.
The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo will be followed by the Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, and I would request you do under 5 minutes each because of time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand here to support the Finance Bill 2025. Compared, you guys are worried. Compared to the 2023 Finance Bill and 2024 Finance Bill, whatever shortcomings are in this bill are curable. Unlike the past two, that were incurably defective. Honorable Speaker, as we stand here today, what we have that is published as due for debate is the finance bill here. The report of the committee is only material at the committee of the whole House. That's the point when this finance bill can be amended. And I want Kenyans to be very clear in their mind that what we are discussing here today, it is what has been published. The report of the committee, based on the results of public participation, will only be of material effect during the committee of the whole House when a bill read published can be amended. Honorable Speaker, I have perused through the report of the committee, and I must say the boys and the young guys of last year, 2024, have forced us as parliamentarians to start now listening. The previous years, we were impervious, we were immune to common mwananchi's views. But because of the event of June 2025, now the hubris is dropped, we have humbled ourselves, we can purport and pretend to listen, and I hope whatever we have listened will find its way through the committee of the whole House as we amend to make matters clearer and good for us. Honorable Speaker, allow me to go through a few issues that have been placed here. Honorable Speaker.
What is out of order, Majority Leader? And remember, Honorable Undo has barely 2 minutes to conclude.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, because the kind of unpalatable things he's saying about the House is not true. Because he is aware, as a member of Parliament, that last year the committee listened to people and brought amendments, Honorable Speaker. And that's certain that. And you know, it is such careless talk by leaders, Honorable Speaker, that incites Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, I would beg that Honorable Udo says that, withdraws and apologizes to the House, because he cannot say that, knowing very well the process that that bill underwent last year, the same process this bill has undergone this year, Honorable Speaker. I beg that he withdraws and apologizes to the House.
Honorable Undo,
allow me to continue, Honorable Speaker.
Is very right to make the presentation immediately.
Allow me to continue if there will be time.
Honorable Undo, continue. Your time was frozen. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, and we need to be very clear at the opportune time, and I think the chair will need to clarify. When you look under clause 26 of the bill that is published here, and I need to be Kenyans to be very clear and listen clearly. The incentives or the waiver of income tax on gratuity and pension payments, Honorable Speaker, and the Kenyans must listen, it applies, it reads in the leading paragraph A and substituting the following new paragraph. A, payment of gratuity. That presupposes, that means gratuity both in the public sector and in the private sector. My time has been eaten, Speaker, I will have to add me. Honorable Speaker, thirdly, secondly, Honorable Speaker, other allowances paid under public pension scheme. The constructive word here is public pension scheme. And I hope the chair is listening, needs to clarify, because what he has said, what he has purported to say is that all pension schemes, but the constructive words used in this bill is public pension schemes, which we need to be very, very clear so that we avoid that misconception outside there. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, because my time has been stolen, but I hope I will be added a half a second to complete. Honorable Speaker, the bill under clause 36 proposes to exempt very critical ingredients, raw materials in the manufacturing sector. Honorable Speaker,
add him 1 minute to conclude that point.
Including raw materials for manufacture in Kenya for manufacturing medicaments as approved from time to time by the Cabinet Secretary. I just hope and pray that the committee of the whole House will carry the amendments that they propose so that we remove exempt, we take them back to zero rating. Honorable Speaker, I attended a meeting with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance and the Kenya Manufacturing Association, One of the greatest challenges was an unpredictable and ever-changing tax environment. I hope we'll now have an element of consistency so that Kenyans can be sure that if I invest today, this is what I expect the way going forward. Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, but since time is up, I can't respond to Majority Leader. Probably when I have more time, I will be able to explain to him what I meant, but luckily enough, there hasn't been much objection to the current finance bill, so you can compare last year and this year.
Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would have wanted to say very good things about the bill under the title preliminaries. But with the time you have given me now, you'll excuse me. But I just want to say one thing. I want to salute the majority bench, led by Honorable Kimani Chungwa, Honorable Mbaya, and Honorable Wako. You know, Honorable Speaker, when I look at you, I see leadership. Look at what is happening to our side. We have empty seats. I don't think this is what we want to do. We have said we have no minority leadership, and you keep on telling us we have minority leadership. Such an important bill be not debated by this side, led by the leadership, is a shame to this House. My 3 points. You had 15 minutes to debate, Honorable Kimani. Our leader would have taken 15 minutes. I have 5 minutes, but I'll do justice to this bill. Honorable Speaker, the issue of tax, zero rating, tax exempt, is a very critical issue, Honorable Speaker. And even though the chairman of the committee has tried to get some things back to the zero rating, on his own words, he did say, we have fictitious claims. And my own research has shown almost tax refunds about 400 billion. Out of that, almost 50% fictitious claims. How I wish we come up with a methodology to ensure that we don't provide these manufacturers an opportunity to hire smart accountants to make more money other than doing the actual job. The second, Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the issue of this personal data and trade secrets data. The committee has done justice to make sure that that doesn't appear in our laws, because it's adequately covered by the Constitution. The third point, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of this aircraft taxation, Honorable Speaker. If I remember well, this is the third time the Treasury has been proposing that we impose some tax on aircraft spare parts. And the argument has always been that if we do that, we will make the operational expenses higher, and that will make the issue of ticketing also, the price of tickets going up. The question I'm asking is, how come every year we get this proposal coming in the finance bill? Could it be, Honorable Speaker, that some people could be enjoying monopoly, and as a result of that, then Treasury wants to sort out that issue, and we keep on blocking them? How I wish the Chair of Finance Committee could take time and sit with the Treasury and find out why year in, year out, we get this proposal coming to the tax bill. The last thing I want to do, Honorable Speaker, is to give areas which I think we can improve. And Honorable Speaker, is unfortunate, a PhD in economics is given 3 minutes, CPAK is being given 10, 15 minutes. But let's continue. Honorable Speaker, these are my recommendations, 3 recommendations. Honorable Speaker, if we want to get the right, to be right on this journey, we must do, first, number 1, we must broaden the tax base. So we must think about how do we broaden the tax base. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, we must seal any tax leakages in terms of collection. Number 3, Honorable Speaker, we must have a predictable, what we call predictable tax regime in this country, so that if I'm investing in Kenya, I can ask myself for the next 10 years, how will the tax regime look like? And the last thing, Honorable Speaker, because I've read the report, there is a proposal, a very good proposal coming from the think tanks, that we need to review our payee rate bands. That is good for the country, and I think we need to take it seriously as a House and encourage our people. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the Chair of Finance must realize this. Honorable Mbadi read a budget of deficit of 923. We approved a budget deficit of 876 as a budget committee. The difference of 47 billion, we must be told where it will come from. I hope it will not be coming from additional taxation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Irene Mayaka will be followed by the Honorable Julius Meli and the Honorable Basil. 3 minutes each.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to also give my support to Finance Bill 2025. And Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I just want to thank the committee for doing a very fantastic job, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, one of the things that has really come out of this particular finance bill is that it is not merely a revenue collecting tool. It is more driven by policy. And I think, Honorable Speaker, this is the way to go. Because as a country, we want to have a tax system that is clearer, that is predictable, and that is accessible. And Honorable Speaker, one thing that we need to also tell the country is that this particular finance bill has been very modest in terms of ensuring that the local mwananchi has not been affected. Honorable Speaker, there are a couple of clauses that I have taken particular interest, and I just want to add my support to them in terms of especially the amendments that have been proposed by the committee. Honorable Speaker, clause 2 that speaks about exemptions on pension payment, not just for the monthly payment, but also for the lump sum payment. I think this is very welcome, Honorable Speaker, because we operate in a world that evolves around black tax. And for me, Honorable Speaker, enabling our pensioners to not pay taxes on their earnings really does a lot in terms of trickling down to even the people who are dependent on them. The second, Honorable Speaker, is clause 8 that speaks about incentives to the people who are building stadiums and also the people who support our sports, especially the sponsors. Honorable Speaker, for me, this is very important because it speaks about ensuring that we are nurturing talent. Honorable Speaker, I also just